Hey y'all, I'm Madison Walker.
And I'm AJ Risley.
Unfortunately, I'm injured this week, so I won't be playing the Green Mountain Championships.
Me too.
But I'm still here at Smuggler's Notch Resort in the beautiful state of Vermont.
Me too.
And I will be providing on-course commentary for the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
And I'm going to Disneyland.
Wait, what?
Yeah, for the Christmas Day Parade.
But I thought you were gonna be here.
This weekend, I'll be providing on-course commentary for the Disc Golf Pro Tour.
And me too.
Really? Madison will be walking with the FPO lead card.
And AJ will be walking with the MPO lead card.
So be sure to tune in at 9 a.m. Eastern on Friday for the FPO lead card and 3 p.m. Eastern on Friday for the MPO lead card.
Wait, aren't they already watching?
Oh yeah. Thanks for watching.
Hey, can I get a flight tray?
Sure.
Flight's ready.
The Raptor was created for a specific shot, a specific distance, and especially comfort. A lot of thought went into the design of the Raptor. We wanted to make a disc comparable to the Zone that just went a little bit further with that consistency. And with the Raptor, I really feel like we accomplished that.
This is the Pro.
And here we are, everybody, coming right into the play. We are just a few minutes behind here, 25 minutes from the original start time, but our players are on the tee here at Discraft's Green Mountain Championship presented by Grip Equipment. So we see a disc coming in there. Of course, our leader, Rebecca Cox, was first on the tee pad. Next will be Sarah Hokom. It's been sort of a strange morning. We had a medical issue with Sarah Hokom's caddy, Robin. He had a seizure and fainted. The paramedics came and have taken care of him. He's feeling okay now, but needless to say, there's a little bit of some worry there for sure for Sarah, as well as all of us here with the crew. Hopefully Robin's doing okay. And there comes Sarah's sidearm into the center of the fairway. I am Nate Doss, and to my right here is Valarie Jenkins. Good morning, Val.
Good morning. Yeah, it has been off to a rough little start here, but we see the drives coming in, and we hear that there is a little bit of a gallery collecting behind the players. So seeing a lot of shots landing inbounds here. This is a big hole to start off. It's 600 feet. It's a par 4. First shot's just all about getting an inbounds here, and we're seeing the players do just that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And today we have Rebecca Cox and Sarah Hokom tied in first place. They both shot 2 under at Brewster Ridge yesterday. We are on Fox Run Meadows, separate course. Here's Kristin Tattar. She is bottom of the box, 4th place, after shooting +2 yesterday.
Ooh.
And a player we missed her drive, Jessica Weese, also joins the group.
Yeah, so here we are. We'll come back to the booth, and you know, we got to welcome everybody. We are here. This is the second round of the Green Mountain Championship. There we are, and it's the second round of the Green Mountain Championship, Discraft's Green Mountain Championship, presented by Grip Equipment. The big thanks to all the sponsors, of course. This is the second round, actually. We were not live on the first round, so with the post production will cover all of that for us, but we have the rest of the tournament live for you. All of this great, excellent play here at this tournament. We're actually going to go out to the course here real briefly and check in with Madison Walker. Madison is injured. She's going to cover our ladies from the on course. So let's go out to Madison and hear how it is on the course.
Just after the FPO lead card teed off on hole 1, there was a little bit of a delay on hole 1 after Sarah Hokom's partner and caddy Robin had a little bit of some medical issues out here. He is stable and en route to the hospital with one of Sarah Hokom's close friends. We should be checking in with him all day. We're very concerned, but we are comfortable that he's fine right now. Sarah has decided to play every one's fairway.
And there we go. Sort of reiterating what we were saying about Robin. Of course, you could tell that there was a concern there, even from Madison. And so, obviously everybody's a little bit probably, I don't know, I wouldn't call it shaken up, but definitely there's, it's not a normal start to the day.
And I'm sure there's some worry, but it's good to know that he is feeling a little bit better as he leaves Sarah off on the course. We know that he was her caddy in many, many tournaments through the season. So Sarah is a seasoned pro. She'll be able to kind of compartmentalize today, hopefully. And, of course, Robin wants her to play well, just as we do. So we are off and running. We're going to see how it looked like. Kristin's shot might have been the only one on the edge of the out of bounds, but Sarah is in the perfect position here. She's right in the middle of the tunnel of trees. And on this course, we're going to be talking about a lot of out of bounds. This is a completely different course than what they played yesterday, which is very tightly wooded. This course, it opens up a little bit, but there's out of bounds everywhere. So there's lots of tight greens, and that looked like a very nice shot. The upshot on this hole is all about the depth perception, making sure you're throwing it far enough. But that looked like a very nice upshot from Sarah.
Yeah, we're just seeing Kristin. I think there's, who's out here. It will be Jessica. Yeah, Val, great point though. This tournament is comprised of 2 courses. So the players play 36 different holes over 4 rounds. They play 1 round on each course. But I think it's important to mention how different the 2 courses are. So tomorrow we'll see Brewster. Brewster is much more wooded for the most part, obviously, as you were mentioning, and how much more open this course is. So it really takes sort of the full gamut of your game. One thing I would say is, and that looked like an okay shot, but she hit the last tree. You can see her frustration. This is an interesting group. I mean, there's a couple of these are all great players in this group, but what are names we don't see? We don't see Katrina Allen. We don't see Paige Pearson. If you're looking on UDisc Live, they're pretty far down. It looks as if Kristin's actually inbounds, just barely. So nice fortune for her on the first hole. But you don't see those names. But this course, I think, lays out better for Paige as well as Katrina. So maybe those names come up as some of these names go down, but we'll see. Only time will tell.
We do see that disc. It is touching the green grass. The line is actually out. So the disc needs to be crossing into the fairway, and a low worm burner sidearm for Kristin Tattar. She gets the green flag. I guess that's always a bonus, but she's going to be way outside circle 2.
Yeah, well, we haven't seen Kristin throw very many sidearms. We saw a lot of her just 2 weeks ago at the MVP Open at Maple Hill, and she's playing extremely well on this tour here in the U.S. So good for her to keep that up. But we haven't seen her throw too many sidearms, so that might have been something she's working on. She's just barely stayed in bounds on the other side of the fairway. And this is what, this is what we're talking about. There's a lot more OB, there's a lot more open space on this Fox Run course. And so it takes an immediate switch up of your game plan and how you're looking to play the course. She quickly steps up with another sidearm. Got that in close.
And I was looking back on yesterday's round and trying to figure out, we have Rebecca Cox and Sarah Hokom. They're both tied in first place. But what were the differences between the two rounds? And for Rebecca Cox, she had this clump of birdies right in the middle of the course from hole 7 through 11, but it was her putting that was killing it yesterday. 82% inside the circle. And there she goes, laying it up very nicely there. So it was all about putting yesterday from Rebecca. And we've seen her out here on the lead cards, and we've seen her on video. She's an incredible putter. So if you're able to save yourself, you're shooting pretty well. Sarah Hokom, on the other hand, played her consistent, steady Sarah Hokom play. 3 birdies, 1 bogey, and everything else pars. But on the course that they played yesterday, that wooded course, it was all about scrambling. So Sarah was 89% for her scramble rate, but those were all to save par. So she had a really nice, clean scorecard, not getting into a lot of trouble, but able to save herself when she did.
Right. Yeah. And looking at Rebecca Cox's scorecard, it's definitely, she bogeyed holes 1 and 2, which are 1 and 18, right? So those are fairly open. And then just shredded the middle part of the course. So I think 4 or 5 birdies in a row. So like she was playing well in the woods. It's not something that I would necessarily expect from Rebecca. I think she's a little better in the open, but definitely those scramble rates you're talking about, that's Sarah Hokom's game. She gets off the fairway. She's able to, make the save. She's very thoughtful in the way that she, plays the course. So no real surprise there. And I was mentioning how well Kristin Tattar has played on this tour. We saw a lot of her, as I was saying, at the MVP. She also took down the Canadian Nationals last weekend against Paige Pierce, shooting a 1,013 rated round in the final round. Able to take down Paige. What a huge boost of confidence. And there's the par save for Kristin. But yeah, what a win for her. Of course, it wasn't in the US, actually. It's in Canada. So we can't say she's won here in the United States quite yet. But all the big names were up in Canada last weekend. So, big event for her. And congratulations on that. That's a big deal.
So she's the Canadian national champion.
Absolutely.
An Estonian.
Yep.
How about that?
You got it. There's Rebecca, able to tap in her birdie. And Jessica as well.
We're going to see Sarah tap in here. And we're going to head over to hole 2's preview. So we just played a 600-foot hole. We're now on a 270-foot par 3, but you can see it starts off pretty technical. You got to hit your line. This is a mid-range or a putter shot, slightly downhill. But mainly it's just about clearing those trees in the first 100 feet of your shot. And once you're past those, you're putting. We do see the elevated basket here, so that does make the putting a little bit tricky. So as much as it's definitely in their zone, you got to be close. You got to be close to capitalize on this birdie.
Yeah, there's no doubt. The elevated basket certainly makes it, because it's sloping away right there, you can see this is the view from behind the basket, and the cameraman's even below the level there as it's just sloping all the way to the OB behind.
And that's a beautiful view, and we'll see a lot more beautiful views as the round continues, but the leaves are starting to change colors up there in Vermont.
Oh, this is a nice shot. Just going to have a putt through the woods. But
there's lots of trees over on that left-hand side.
Getting through that main gap is the key. See, there's a big rock right in the middle there. The players can just barely see the top of that from the tee pad. And if they can get up and over it, it pretty much goes right down to the basket. Oh, and Sarah's played that beautifully. Parked it pretty much. Going to have just a 11-foot tap in up the hill, or, up to the elevated basket. Ooh, this needs to sit. Oh, and it's sat nicely just short of the OB. She's going to have a 25-foot putt up the hill.
And man, it's not often that you see sidearm players as the majority here in this group, but we're going to be seeing a lot of sidearm shots. And off the back, Kristin hits a tree. We are going to...
We're going to take a quick commercial and we'll be right back.
Film the pros wear. Wear what the pros that film the pros wear. Savage Pro Tour apparel. Full body dye sub technology. Sweat wicking polyester. Lightweight Cirrus jersey. Made in the USA. Are you savage? Wear what the pros that film the pros wear. Get yours today.
And we are back. I wasn't sure how far she made it off of the fairway there, and we can see she's very short on the left-hand side. Able to lay up, but she's still going to have quite a putt to even save this par.
Yeah, Kristin already in a bit of trouble here early on in this round. And I'll tell you that the thing about this course is it doesn't get any easier. It only continues to get more and more difficult. The middle part of the course is just huge, big shots, lots of OB. So starting off here with a few birdies or just sort of easy holes is definitely a big key to this whole thing.
Gettable holes.
Yeah.
Nothing easy out here. And that was a pretty good view that we just walked through all these trees. Wow. And from downtown, Kristin is able to save that par.
Just casual about it. I mean, gosh, she just stepped right up and cashed that big putt. I mean, let's call it 45 feet at least. Incredible. Beautiful putt there by Kristin Tattar, 4 par. Just got to mention that all of our players did get par on the first hole. We saw on UDisc Rebecca come across as a birdie, but hers was a par.
This is nice. She does have a view of the basket right between the trees. She can line it up. Not this time. There's just so much trouble that you can get into on this little bit of a hole. I mean, now we see Jessica just past the basket, little bit of an elevation gain on her putt. See, Rebecca's got to deal with the trees and then a downhill putt heading toward out of bounds. There's a lot going on. And very nice putt there from Jessica. Nice lofty putt, giving it enough height and clearly enough power to get it in there. Beautiful birdie.
Yeah, and for Jessica, it's all about her putting. If she's able to make those putts, she's going to be a factor in these tournaments. She's pretty good off the tee to green, and she's great in the woods as she grew up in Grass Valley playing all those wooded courses out in California. And Sarah able to tap in her birdie as well. So it looks like it'll be 2 birdies and 2 pars for our lead card here in the second round of Discraft's Green Mountain Championship. And that's hole 2. We'll take a look at hole 3.
Here we are. Hole 3, 285 feet. OB on the right-hand side. You can see the stakes are lining the fairway there. Uphill shot, and then really closes in tight as it bottlenecks right here and leads to the basket. It's a fairway driver type of hole, but very technical. If you hit one of those trees, you're kicking out of bounds. So you may have to make sure you're hitting your line, but not throwing too far. We see that around the basket. It's dry. It's hard packed dirt. You could go soaring past. It starts to go down a hill there, making the putts back of the basket really difficult. So on paper, this hole lines up to be fairly easy, but it gets very, very technical. You have to make sure you hit your line and you're choosing the right disc.
Yeah, on paper for sure, because it's only 285 feet or 270 or whatever it is, but it's under 300. But you're right. Any one of those kicks on the right side of any one of those trees can really just shoot you right down into that OB on the right side. You can see some of the fall foliage coming through this. We are at Smuggler's Natural Resort. We're up here in the mountains in Vermont. And Vermont, one of the most beautiful states in the entire country. If you have not been to Vermont, I'd say get a trip up there. And in a few weeks from now, all these trees will be changing colors, and it's like just the time to be there. People just on the roads, just driving through the fall colors.
That's a bucket list type of thing. We're usually here in Vermont around this time of year, so there's still a lot of green on the trees, but you're coming back middle October, end of October, that's when those colors, they say that just the mountains are on fire. There's so much orange and so much red and yellow. We see Jessica getting hung up on those trees.
Now, the one advantage Jessica has over Hokom is the fact that she's got really both sides. I think still Jessica uses her sidearm more than the backhand, but way more than we see Hokom use it. So on a hole like this, where it's a right to left sort of fading hole, Sarah was trying to throw a flippy disc. Jessica was able to just throw a backhand, but was not able to get through, got caught up early. He'll be scrambling from this point forward. When Rebecca's got it right up the middle. Does it have the right distance? It's going to be a little short. That's going to be a tough putt. She's right behind that clump of a couple of different clumps, actually, of trees.
And I love that play. You do want to throw something stable. If you throw something a little too flippy, you're risking the out of bounds. So better to be safe and give yourself a putt.
Boy, and Kristin's got that. Needs a sit. Ooh, took a huge skip. I see another OB stick down there, so I don't know. We'll see. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with our players up on the fairway and green.
Today, we'll be talking about the Nuke. The Nuke is a wide-rimmed, fast, maximum distance driver. When throwing on a wide-open course with the Nuke, I'm using it to unleash maximum backhand distance potential. Due to its slim profile and wide rim, the Nuke also fits really well in the hand when throwing sidearms. If I'm looking to throw down some boom sauce, I'm going with the Nuke. You can pick one up at Discraft.com or your local disc golf retailer.
We are back with Sarah Hokom on the fairway.
Decent upshot. We see in another camera angle. A little frustrated with that because she still has more work to do. We're going to head over to Jessica Weese on the left-hand side here, but fortunate she did not kick into the more rough.
Yeah, she's still in the mown area. She still has a lot of trees to navigate. Ooh, nice shot. Needs a sit down. Ooh, it takes a nice kick there off one of those trees and stays close to the basket. One thing I didn't hear you mention in the preview is really how slick this green is. We saw it with Kristin's. She got up and over that hill just barely and just took off. It really slides away from the basket. There's not a lot of grass. It's all in the shaded area. So, you know, we'll see with Kristin's, you know, it was, I think we thought it was out, but it was tough to exactly tell if it was or not. Tournament director Jeff Spring had told us yesterday that all of the out of bounds has been painted. So there are painted lines, and the sticks or the white posts that we see are just for reference.
Yeah, I'll probably be out. Yeah, Rebecca, then Kristin? Yeah. Then me.
It's tough to tell exactly what that conversation was. We saw that line of white stakes. Either way, Kristin is playing on the edge today already. It's really been a nonstop scramble for her. Here's Rebecca just pitching out. She was stuck behind a bunch of trees there, not able to even give it a run at all. Now we'll see Kristin lining up.
This is an interesting play right off the bat. You're going to go for the shot, try and make the putt, or you're going to go for the safe layup knowing you can drop it in. And she goes for the gold. Huge. Or you're going to go for the safe layup knowing you can drop it in. And she goes for the... and a replay of my commentary as well.
Yeah. And here's Sarah Hokom. This is to save par. Impressive stuff by Kristin. Ooh, and Sarah able to drop it in from the top. It's a good look for Sarah Hokom as you know, she's got that putt up and in early in the round. So that's looking very, very good for her. This is Jessica after her layup.
We did talk about Sarah's putt a lot at the MVP Open. A lot of opportunities for her. So if she can get that putt on, I think she's going to be hanging tough with these women throughout the weekend. We know that we've got Rebecca last here, and woo, that was moving around in that basket.
Yeah, let's get used to that. Rebecca's she's definitely a good putter, but she's got a kind of a funky look. But let's take a look at hole 4. The players have a long walk Val, let's take a look at hole 4 that they're going to be playing when they get out there.
Hole 4, par 4, 465 feet. You see the tee right here on the left-hand side. Starts off with this very tight, technical left-hand route, or you can go out and over. There is a route around this dead tree we'll see in the middle of the fairway to give you a big hyzer angle. Depending on the wind, we'll see which shot these players choose to take. But of course, we got sidearm heavy in this card, so we might see the left-hand side. It's all about that second shot, making sure you're getting up and close and near the basket. You can see that rock island protecting the basket, so making sure you're getting close to that or maybe even up next to the basket for your drop in. It's a great opportunity for a birdie, but it's a very solid par when the wind picks up.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We start to get out into the open here, and if the wind starts to pick up, all of a sudden these holes, the birdie opportunity becomes less and less, and you can see that right side. I mean, they've made it. It's definitely a good side to be on. It's a lot bigger than that strip on the left where you can see that run of tee pads that with the drone was flying down. But to get over there, you have to go over out of bounds, and then to get back to the fairway, you have to come back over out of bounds as well. So this is a super tough hole. It's very, very tricky. And again, now we're coming out into the open. And so the whole kind of feel of the round is going to change here for about the next 10 holes or so. And we'll take a look at our top 10. And we see Sarah Hokom right there. And she's now I believe she's now at 3 under par. Our UDisc Live guys out there are having a little bit of trouble so far.
Yeah, still early morning. Everything's still waking up, even technology.
Right.
But we are in the first couple of holes. We see players already through 6. But as you were mentioning, we are in this middle part of the course. It opens up, and I think your brain has to shift. Players are on a little bit of a walk right now. It's going to take them a few minutes to get to the tee pad. So hopefully this is the switch. But going from the technical shots where, all right, this is the fairway. These are the trees I have to throw through. This is what I have to do, to wide open and kind of finding your line in the sky and making sure your disc hits it. But it's all about putting yourself in that perfect landing zone.
Right.
And there's just so much out of bounds that you really have to be cautious of what your disc is going to do throughout the entire flight, and especially how it's going to land, if it's going to skip. We've got thick green grass out here, so they should be sticking pretty slow, but there is a lot of slope toward out of bounds as we get farther into the course. But yeah, this course gets technical, and thankfully we've had the pleasure of playing out here. Somebody's won this tournament before, so they're
yeah, that's funny coming from you. You've probably won this tournament more than I have, that's for sure.
No.
But officially, the Green Mountain Championship hasn't happened since 2017 because of the World Championship last year. The World Championship was competed right here on these 2 courses in a very similar format. The only difference with the Worlds was we had an extra 5th round. And Greg Barsby was able to take down that World Championship on the men's side. And we had Paige Bierkes taking down the women's side. Now, we don't really see Paige's name on this list. And I don't think she's actually even playing the tournament. So, she is. She's just a little bit further down. Okay, that's on me. But anyways, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the top 10. We've had it up here for a second. Let's talk about it.
Well, we see that the scores are still pretty stacked, and switching from an open course to a wooded course can, are you a better wooded player? Are you better in the open? So we might see a lot of flip-flopping throughout the tournament. Like you said, we see Paige Pierce down there in 7th place. She's already moved up 3 spots this morning. So, tight and technical can get the best of you if you're not on point, but we know an open course definitely plays in her favor. So we'll see how players shuffle out as the round continues, but looks like we're back on the tee pad and Sarah Hokom's up first.
till that happened.
You got a spotter marking Sarah's disc. Go, Jessica. Going for the backhand. There's that tree I'd mentioned.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's going to be a tough spot to land. There's really only one big bushy tree in that landing zone, and Jessica is going to be right behind it.
But she is safely in bounds. What I'll say is that while it looks like a huge wall of bushes there, it's really just that one section of bushy kind of marsh area, and then it goes into the open cut grass that we see from our other camera angle. And so you can see all of our players have prepared to go this direction and play over there because they just don't want to try to go down that little chute. But it's blind, and I mean, all three of our players that have gone over there have had some issues, and Sarah's out of bounds. So tough start to hole 4 here. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll catch up with you in a second.
Okay, huge news, guys. The new DGA Rift has so much glide that it just broke the national MTA record by 37 hours. Go get one for yourself at discgolf.com.
Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag. Zuka is now producing limited edition color choices. Zuka can add custom embroidery to the front and/or sides of the bag.
What? Okay. And we're back, and we see Sarah Hokom. She has gone out of bounds here, so she'll be lying 3. Just while we were taking a break, just peeking at that top 10 leaderboard, Val, it's really starting to elongate out. I mean, quite a bit. You know, we have a few players under par, but then it's like Kristin's at 2 over, and then the next closest is at 5 over. So, you know, it's starting to sort of spread out a little bit here. But again, big numbers can quickly happen on this course. If you get out of bounds early on, and Sarah's got that up there, she's going to have an opportunity to save her par. So that's exactly what she wants to do. But it's just a beautiful morning here. It's a little crisp and cold for our players, just in the very low 50s at this point. We are officially at a ski resort.
At a ski resort, and it's September already. We're in the middle of the month. I can't believe it, but I mean, time flies when you're having fun.
Exactly.
This is the final event of the Disc Golf Pro Tour official season.
The regular season, yeah. We saw the Tour Championship. As you mentioned, Val, Jessica caught up behind this humongous bush. It's really the only thing out in this area. She's forced to throw the big turnover. She still has a line. Just Got it out wide, a little bit too much angle, but she's safely inbounds. Have a long look at birdie from that point.
They do have to clear over that taller grass that we see that's out of bounds. Making sure you're getting enough distance on that is key. It's a good play. Sidearm, staying away from the taller trees that can hang a backhand player up. Kind of in the line with that basket, you can see that taller tree. It's really tough to get a backhand shot close to the basket. You're hyzering out and landing on the left-hand side, but we'll see how Rebecca Cox is able to attack this.
Yeah, a hyzer is super tough. I would say a turnover is probably the best, really, that you're going to have opportunity-wise. But the sidearm from Kristin was just perfect. Just short of the basket. Looked much better than that sidearm we saw her throw up back on hole 1.
And this is the angle we're talking about. We see that big tree that Rebecca has to miss, just barely though. So hopefully she's going for that straight to Anheuser shot.
She was out of bounds as well. She's got it low, but she's got enough forward push on it. She'll be up pin high. She'll have her putt there for par. But man, look at there's one thing I love about this course. When you get out on Fox Run, just the views. Looking back at the mountain, if you look right there, that is the actual ski hill for Smuggler's Notch Resort. America's family resort, right?
It's an amazing place.
Yeah,
I mean, it
really is.
We get to travel all around the country to play disc golf, but it's so nice to cap off a season staying at a resort. There's so much to do. You're staying in condos. We got to see a little glimpse of Madison Walker and AJ Risley and their condo that they're staying at this weekend, but everybody's in this community. And so it's, perfect time of year here in Vermont. And I think that the disc golfers really, really enjoy coming up to Vermont and kind of capping off their season here. And the disc golf is some of the best in the world.
Jessica for birdie and sort of even at a half-hearted run, you can see just a little breeze. Maybe just the flag just moving barely. It was definitely a makeable putt for her, but it was definitely outside the circle, and we'll see our other players move into position. But yeah, in the early days, we would come up here to Vermont. Jeff Spring, the TD, kind of convinced, I believe Avery Jenkins was the first player to really go up there, and then we all followed, and it's really been built into an incredible property, 2 championship level courses. It's now had the Pro Open World Championships as well as the Masters Worlds. There's a juniors event that happens here. So big thanks to Smuggler's Notch for supporting disc golf in the way that it does and really giving all these players a beautiful palette to work with as far as doing their job. It really is a fun place to play. This is Rebecca to save par. She was OB. And there you go. And that's that kind of funky delivery I was talking about. I mean, it's just more of a hyzer sling. I wouldn't even call it a push or a spin putt. It's just kind of a sling putt. And she's got it in the middle there.
And it's all about that reach for her. And if she's able to reach and pop it at that same angle, I mean, she's got plenty of power. So she's able to hit putts from all over the place. Sarah Hokom also out of bounds off her drive. That would be a par for Sarah.
We'll see Kristin tap in here for birdie. It's going to be the only birdie of the group. Nice job there by Kristin. And then we'll see Jessica come in and tap. And we are, after this tap out, we're going to hear from our on-course commentator, Madison Walker. So we'll see if we can't get Madison here and maybe just a little bit. But, oh, we see her walk by. Hey, come on in, Madison. Madison's feeling shy. So anyways, there we are. Hole 4. We're going to head over to hole 5. Let's take a look at hole 5, Val.
Hole 5, par 3, 445 feet. We're heading downhill here. We see the stakes on the left and the right-hand side, and then circling around the basket. Water comes into play here. If you're going for the big drive off the tee, this is a crush. This is a crush. I know Paige Pierce was going for the basket on this one, but we're going to see a majority of the field laying their drives, throwing something probably pretty stable just so the wind doesn't affect it, landing down in the gully, the lowest part, and then throwing their upshot to the basket and playing for 3. It's really aggressive to be going for the basket here. If you're going for it, you're throwing something out way over the out of bounds. And so now let's bring in the out of bounds much more into play for you to able to get the distance to actually reach the basket anyway. So I'm expecting to see a lot of pars on this one, but maybe somebody will surprise me.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at it right there. Could that map be any more plain? I mean, it's not showing you at all. I mean, thank you for the distances, of course, but there is so much more going on because of all the elevation change that's really happening on this hole. The tee is a good probably 40 feet above the level of the basket. There's a lake. We can see that on the map on the left side there, but it dips down, goes back up. There's all kinds of things to deal with on this 5th hole. And as you said, some of the bigger players are going to be going for it. Maybe a Kristin Tattar, I'm not sure, but yeah, we'll see. Be interesting to find out.
Mm-hmm. On the map, where those trees are, just past those, that's where that little valley is. And so as you're laying up, you do have to contend with those trees, making sure you're not landing behind them, making that upshot more difficult. And
yeah.
The thing they're playing this in the morning, as we talked about, if wind picks up on these holes, it makes them so much more dangerous. But with the wind being very calm here this morning, players can now just focus on throwing the angle that they want, hopefully placing it exactly where they need to be.
Looks like Kristin's just put a nice angle on this, although it's carrying out a bit too much. Oh, and it's taking the skip. We saw the water there. So that's going to be an out-of-bounds penalty for Kristin. It looked like she wanted it to just be a lot more stable than it was. It seemed to fly a bit more straight than expected for her.
And that was a pure layup. I mean, that was a lot of angle. I think she was looking for that placement shot, but just got a little bit too wild at the end. A lot of body language out of Hokom.
That's in bounds. We heard saw a little kind of wry smile there from Sarah, but yeah, see, she is in bounds. Now we'll see Jessica line it up. Oh, and that looks perfect for Jessica. Just got to get a little bit more to the right. That's okay. She'll be able to pitch it around that middle clump. And we see Rebecca's disc in the air. That should be safe in the middle. And now we're going to go ahead and go out to the course, and we're going to hear from Madison Walker.
Hi, welcome back out with the FPO lead card. After some unfortunate circumstances this morning, things could have been a little bit tense, but in fact, the FPO card has actually banded together and been really supportive. Hokom has retained a surprising amount of focus in the first few holes, but I talked to her last night and she was out here at the course practicing until well in the evening. So no surprise that she's doing well. super surprising that she's able to focus, but everyone's being really supportive, and it's a really positive vibe out here.
Can I list off every DGA disc in just 10 seconds? Well, yeah, of course I can. I can talk fast. I'm good at planning ahead. You're running out of time. Okay, well, that's not helping. All right, number 1.
And we're back, and ooh, she's got an angle on it, but it's safely on the flat. And that was a great angle, Val, to see how severe everything is right around that green.
Yeah, and still, even on camera, it doesn't bring in all the risk that there still is, because this is a good view too. We see that, of course, water on the right hand side of our screen, but that basket is sitting right on the edge of that decline. And so if you just loft it up in the air a little bit too much, turning it over, you're going to give yourself a 20, 25 footer on the right hand side. So the basket's just perfectly placed on this one to make this upshot just that much more tricky.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you even get any wind swirling around this pond, it can just be that much more difficult.
And Sarah had a nice little pop on that one.
Yeah,
that
she
seemed
did.
like an aggressive throw, but flew really nice and slowly, but dug into the side hill. She's going to have a drop in for her.
Now we see Rebecca, who actually was able to trickle through that middle clump. She's got a perfect, great angle. She's throwing it really aggressively into that side hill, taking a little skip. Surprising amount of skip, actually, for how thick the grass is. And they did pick up a lot of rain last week as the hurricane did come through. So everything nice and lush and thick right now. And we're just seeing Kristin kind of line up her, marking it inbounds from where she went out of bounds into that lake. And boy, Kristin has just kind of played on the edge at this point. Wouldn't surprise me if she threw this in for... She's been able to save par so many times already today, although this is way outside just regular putting range. And able to chip it up there. Take just a quick second to give a big thanks to DGA, who's the course sponsor here at Fox Run. So thank you to them for their support. You can see the DGA basket there, and there it is. The Mach 7 now shipping to everybody out there. So big thanks to DGA for their support of this event and of the Fox Run course. So interesting to hear, Madison saying how they banded together. And I think really from we know Madison very well, and it's, this is kind of the look that we would expect from her. She's really getting a sense of the group. Madison is just such a sensitive person, and she's really just kind of seeing that the players are banding together, and at the end of the day, hopefully Robin's just fine and something that nobody has to worry about. But nice that they're all kind of sticking together at this point.
Absolutely. And if any one of these players have played in a group with Sarah, they've met Robin, they've hung out with Robin. And so as you're seeing each other every weekend, you become this family. You become very close friends. You're spending a lot of time together. So everyone's very involved. And when something like that happens to somebody that's in the community, everybody knows about it quickly and everybody's concerned. So we know lots of positive healing vibes are being sent out to him and, of course, to Sarah.
So we saw Jessica just missed that putt. Now we've seen Kristin and Rebecca be able to tap in. Kristin was for bogey. Rebecca was for par. And this is Sarah for par as well. This is a par 3. Boy, and sometimes we played here, and that dock out there is something that the players would love to be hanging out at. But on a day like today, I don't think they're going to be anywhere near that water. It's chilly out there today.
Yeah, that's a man-made lake, I believe. But yeah, a great swimming hole and another part of the amazing amenities out here at the resort. We are going to head over on to hole 6. Take a look at the hole preview. Hole 6, par 3, 290 feet, and we're going back up the hill this time. We're going to take a look at the course map to see a better view of this. Makes it look easy from that flyby, but look at that out of bounds. I mean, red dots, there's out of bounds everywhere surrounding this hole. So sidearm players are going to have a bit of an advantage throwing up off to the left and bringing it back around. Throwing a backhand on this one, it gets very tight. There's taller trees on the right-hand side. So you're kind of forced to throw that Anheuser shot, lofting it up and keeping it high. And we did see a little bit of a breeze on that flag of the last basket. So players are going to have to be cautious of that. But if you hit the right line and you're giving it enough height and power, you're going to be putting on this one. But as you can see, and as I've said, lots of out of bounds to deal with.
Yeah, definitely. That's a lot of red dots.
Yes, it
And
is.
pretty much where every one of those red dots is, there's a white stake on this course. And, you know, again, we're going to talk about this all weekend long. What a beautiful location to play disc golf. But how much manicuring they've done, how well they take care of the property. Again, it's one of the reasons why this is one of the best championship locations on tour, and all of our players are here. All of our best players are here. See our players just getting the scores and getting themselves organized. So that bogey for Kristin, she's now even par. She's 2 over for the tournament. The one person that has made a little bit of a jump is Haley King. Haley King is 1 under for the round. She's now 1 over for the tournament, and she's jumped up just 1 place. But again, there's a big gap right there. So she's sort of covered that gap at this point and now has moved into the top 4. So she has 2 bogeys, and she just picked up a single bogey on hole 7, which is a 1,000-foot par 5. So it's, a tough one, needless to say. But you can see it right here. A little bit of breeze starting to pick up. The day is getting a little bit warmer. That sun is starting to move around that air. So all of a sudden, this course is going to get just that much more challenging as we now get to these much more difficult holes.
This has given us a good view of the left-hand side of the fairway. The basket's tucked off to the right.
It's perfectly for Hokom's shot. She's got it straight, though. Is it going to have enough? Oh, yeah, it does. Plenty. Nice shot there by Sarah Hokom, giving herself a birdie opportunity.
And take a look at that flag on top of this basket. Not moving at all.
Right.
Dead calm. It's a little bit protected. That's just so tough to tell. The players can't see the flag from the tee box, so they're just judging the wind that they can feel from down here.
And it's a tough win for a backhand. That's snapped over immediately. See the spotter running in. What's he going to give us? Looks as if that's a red flag. So she's gone out of bounds in that sort of midway area. And I was saying, I think it's a difficult win. I believe the wind's coming off their right. So if you're a backhand player, that wind's going to just immediately shear that disc down. and make it just that much more of a difficult turnover.
Oh, and I like this. Great height, able to carry and pins it.
Perfect.
Amazing shot from Kristin. Backhand is just so much more technical.
Absolutely. Man, that was a beautiful shot there by Kristin. You know, Kristin's played very decisive. She's just kind of stepped up, played her shots. She's had a few mistakes at this point, but Kristin's looking solid. Again, this hole lays out for a sidearm very well. So you'd think that Hokom and Weese would have the advantage here.
A little low.
And a little bit too far straight, and she's gone out of bounds there as well. And that's all 4 of our players. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back with you in just a minute. Welcome back to the fairway of hole 6. And we see Rebecca Cox. She has gone out of bounds. You can see now what a perfect view of the area that she went into. There's no coming out of it. It's that thick. I mean, it got gobbled up immediately. And she can barely see the basket having a jump there. We see just the flag at this point. But from where she's standing, it's completely blind.
And it does just create this wall right in front of her. So just making sure she's throwing it up high enough. But again, getting enough distance there and nice view of her shot after just beyond the basket. Really nice shot. She'll find out in a few minutes after she walks up.
Right.
There we go. We see Jessica trying to get an eye on her disc, but yeah, just a little bit too straight.
Yeah, so that, again, I think it lays out well for a sidearm. They're just digging around here in the tall grass trying to find her disc, but you know, it lays out well for a sidearm, but you also have to get the height. I mean, you need to be able to get it up so that it has enough time to carry. And she just kind of popped it way too low. And you know, there's OB right and left as we saw on the course map. So it's not easy by any means, but you know, a shot that I would think a sidearm player would have the advantage. I only know that because I'm a backhand player and I throw a sidearm on this hole. So it's got to be an advantage in some way. Ooh, giving it a decent run on just on the outside. So that will be a bogey at best for Jessica Weese. Just checking out on UDisc, we see there Hokom and Cox at 2 under and 3 under respectively. Sarah Hokom's gone bogey free to this point. She just has 1 birdie, and Rebecca Cox has parred every hole. So, you know, I'm trying to forecast a little bit of how the weekend's going to look and where we're going with this event. And it looks like Rebecca and Sarah are feeling pretty good, although, you know, we're going to see a bogey here from Rebecca. But Sarah feeling solid at this point, even with a little bit of you know, uncomfortable situation for her personally at the beginning of the round.
A nice putt from Sarah, taking her time, but that putt just the stroke of it just looks so much more confident than previous ones that we've seen where she misses a little bit low. She's had a nice pop. And Sarah plays really well out here. She's had a really good record playing out on these courses. She plays really great on Brewster. So that helps her excel and get her strokes low leading into this wide open Fox Run course. But we saw Rebecca playing on the lead cards here last year at the World Championship. So we know that she enjoys playing these courses and plays really well on them. And the name you mentioned a few minutes back, Haley King, she was on the lead card in Worlds. So we're going to see a lot of these players that new in the game working their way up.
Yep, and here's that tap in for Kristin. Going to be 2 birdies, 2 bogeys, and hole 6 is in the books. Let's take a look at hole 7, Val.
Hole 7, it's a par 5, 1,085 feet. The women are playing from a shorter tee pad, but you do have to cross over those trees, which is an out of bounds creek, landing yourself in this big, wide open area. You got the OB on the left-hand side. You got trees and OB on the right-hand side. A little bit of wind in this preview, so we might get some wind today as well. But it just lines up. I mean, it's a long hole, and it's just technical about where and how far you're throwing those distance shots, how you're going to land them, the line you're going to hit in the sky. I mean, it can be very simple, but you can also get in trouble if your drives are a little squirrely.
Oh yeah, you could be in trouble real quick, and the OBs can start to add up. I mean, it's looking at that map, it's fairly wide. I mean, that the whole fairway going down that second half of the fairway is wide. It's at least 50, 60 feet wide. But that right side is a rock wall with some trees growing out and overhanging, so it sort of limits the hyzer play. Again, I think after the tee shot, I think the sidearm players have a big advantage here. It's absolutely wide open on the left side. The sidearm players can take advantage of that and play this hole very nicely. So I think the main challenge here is off the tee, get it in bounds, and then just chip your way down the fairway and try to give yourself a birdie opportunity.
Yep.
It's a par 5. It's par 5, so 1,085 feet. That's a long way. Let's not kid ourselves, but it is downhill slightly. And I think, again, after that tee shot, if you can get it in bounds, the hole can play fairly well from there. But big thanks to Savage Ultimate. Hole number 7 throughout the Disc Golf Pro Tour has been sponsored by Savage Ultimate. So big thanks to Savage for their whole year's support of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. It is much appreciated. Now we see Sarah Hokom.
Very nice, nicely placed shot. It's a tough drive. You want to make sure that you're getting it enough distance to clear that out of bounds and get yourself, starting to take off a big chunk off this distance. But at the same time, if you go too long, you're going to risk that out of bounds if you go too straight. So Kristin played that really nicely, hitting the line and playing the hyzer route to avoid that out of bounds.
A good look of Rebecca Cox's form there. Nice and smooth, got it inbounds. And as I said, I mean, the tee shot is tough because it's just, you got to get it kind of into that main area. But if you can get your disc for the backhand players on the left side of the fairway, you can play from there. If you're on the right, it's a lot more difficult. And that's where the sidearm players have a huge advantage. Jessica's got it out there. That is inbounds as well, kind of bumping and bouncing around. And there's our players, and we'll take a quick break and check with you out in the fairway. And here we are back in the fairway of our 1,085-foot par 5, hole number 7. You can see the wind blowing Rebecca Cox's hair. It's a tailwind, and so our players have the advantage of a breeze behind them, making this hole a little bit more easy to get the distance. And again, I think it's just a placement shot from there. She's put herself in a nice position on the left side of the fairway. But now that view, look at, you can really tell now. The trees on the right that make things just a little bit more difficult. Not a tree in the middle on the left side.
This also makes disc selection more challenging to have the tailwind. You know, how much are you going to rely on that wind to keep your disc off to the left? We would expect the players to be pulling out discs that are a little bit more understable, so they're able to fly and gain that distance. But at the same time, if the wind's not pulling them off to the left, as a tailwind would do, they're going to shank it off to the right in the right-hand side of the trees. And as you have mentioned, you don't want to be on the right-hand side. It's just going to tighten everything up. So this selection right now with the wind at their back is really important for the backhand throwers. Sidearm throwers, they're going to be throwing something nice and stable. They're playing left and over the out of bounds line and bringing it back in.
Yeah, good point there. The selection is crucial with that tailwind. Wow. Sarah's got it way down there, so she's going to have an opportunity to go into this green on her third shot. Probably still has roughly, there's our distance, we can see it probably has roughly 350 to 380 feet into the pin.
And this hole is a change up from previous years that we had played here. I like this change.
Yeah, it's been here the last 3 seasons. You know, the last GMC, the World Championship, just sort of keeping it all on this right side. We used to throw over onto an island. That was, it was still a long par 5, but it just kind of changed up the second half of the hole a bit.
Exactly. You weren't able just to crush your way down. There was a lot of placement and judging distance. And do you like this change up? I mean, it does favor those distance shots.
Sure.
But it's a lot of throws to get yourself to that basket. And especially when the wind comes into play, see the players, it's harder to get your disc to carry that distance, especially with the tailwind.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely, I don't know if I would even call it a change up really at this point because it's been so many years. But
I know. But I mean, we go so far back.
Yeah.
We've played this tournament so many years, and you get to see all those course changes as the years progress and as the course changes up a little bit. I know that they've been playing one new hole toward the end of the course. You know, they played that in the World Championships. They played that, in the last year. So there's always new things to learn.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, come on.
Of course. Yeah. So, you know, but again, I think already what we've seen our players do has been the proper way to play this hole.
Yes.
Keep it safe. It's a par 5. At the end of the day, if you just give yourself an opportunity to make a birdie, that's kind of the key here. This thing was so much OB, there's really not a free shot that you're kind of thinking, well, yeah, I can just go for it and rip it way down there. So I think they've all played it, I think, properly to this point. I think now coming into the green, you can be a little bit more aggressive as it does widen out down by the basket.
And I think this is going to be an aggressive shot here from Rebecca. She's finding herself on the left-hand side of the fairway, giving herself a good angle So if she does want to pop something out at a little bit of a hyzer on the right-hand side, she's got enough space to do that.
You can see she definitely gave it all, but it's just going to be low. That's going to be probably 100 feet short, roughly, maybe 85, something like that. And just a chip up there for her par opportunity.
There's not too much to talk about when there's not a lot out of bounds. So these players are playing nice and safe. So even a little bit of an error from Rebecca, it was still low, straight, and in the middle of the fairway.
Yeah, made the proper mistake there. And see, just look where Sarah's eyes are. She's out over the OB. She knows if she can put it on the right line, that wind's going to bring her right back to that basket. It's sort of playing over her left shoulder. So aggressive shot from here can put her down to the basket. Now that wind's going to start pushing it. Ooh, and it's got to, yep, okay, so she's on the ground. Still short of the circle. So, you know, about, what was that, about 48 feet away at this point. Or no, that's, I think that was circle 2, actually. So, yeah, she's probably 70 feet out at this point. Ooh, and that's Kristin's just got it down in the grass. That's it. Again, now short, and she's just going to have a chip up from there. So to this point, we're looking like 3 most likely pars from our lead card here. But Jessica has got her second shot pretty far down here. I think she's going to have an advantage here in the sense that she probably only has about 330, 340 feet into this basket.
She has to trust the disc, be confident to throw it up in the air and know that the disc is going to do the work. We saw a little bit of shyness, skittishness from Kristin and Rebecca throwing it very low. Let's see if Jessica is able to pop it up in the air, giving it enough distance to fly to the basket. Low.
And Shad's going to leave her begging for more as well, because as you can see, she still has quite a bit into that basket. So there we are. We've got 4 players have thrown 3 shots, and they're going to have some chip ups here on this par 5. Again, 1,085 feet is still a heck of a long way to have to throw 3 shots to get yourself into an opportunity to where you could potentially make a putt for birdie. So sort of the players at this point just enjoying the walk. Seems pretty nice out there today. And there we'll see our top 10. Lisa Fakis has jumped up quite a bit, actually. She didn't have a great first round. She's moved up 6 places, and we have Kristin. She's got it elevated. That's got to get down. Oh, and that's a big mistake by Kristin Tattar, because really totally uncalled for at this point. Stepped up quick, threw a sidearm, had it way too high, and really started it on line with the basket.
That's so interesting that she threw a sidearm there. You can see the white stakes so close to the basket on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
You know that it's nice and safe on the left-hand side. A backhand, nice, easy hyzer shot. Even if it hyzers too much, you're still safe. The sidearm really brought that out of bounds into play unnecessarily.
Yeah, and as soon as the bottom of that disc got exposed, that wind was taking it. So, you know, this is the shot we would expect. Ooh, and that's got to get down, and she's put that long and OB as well. So on these shorter up shots, our players having some trouble. And I don't want to, we're sitting here in the booth. I mean, it's not windy in here. There's a breeze for these players, and I think there's, it's still downhill. There's a challenge there for them. So, but still, we would expect the players to be able to get it up and in from that distance. With this tailwind, we could probably see just like More of a jump putt from Sarah. With the distance and the wind, I think a jump putt here from Sarah could nestle it right up and in there. She's reaching for it a little bit. She's going to have about a 12 to 15 foot putt from that point.
When the wind's blowing, you want that disc as close to the basket as you can get it. So still a little bit outside of just pure comfort zone for Sarah, but she should be just fine. And here's where Jessica's upshot landed.
Jessica, the only player inside circle 2. Oh, and that wind just grabbed it right away. Just trying to chip it up there.
Landing on the pro side, landing with the tailwind still at her back. And here we go. After all that work to get all the way down, about 1,000 feet down the fairway, some trouble comes into play for Rebecca Cox as she goes long of the basket. Looking for her lie from her opponents.
This is an opportunity for Sarah to, to take a potential 2-stroke swing. Rebecca now has about a 23, 25 foot putt back into the headwind for bogey at this point. And Sarah's got a 15-foot putt for par. So you could see at this point, Sarah, the only person under par in the entire tournament. That wind just kicked up so much more. Look at the flag. And not even able to get it up above the level of the basket. So she's going to have a tap in now double bogey from that point. That'll be a 7 for Rebecca Cox with that out of bounds. And now we'll see Kristin just establishing where she went out of bounds. And so we're going to see her take her meter. And now when you have an Estonian marking a meter, it's accurate.
Oh, yeah.
Because they work in meters, right? So she knows exactly what that looks like. But she's got a 28-foot putt here. We can see just inside the circle. Playing quickly as she has done this entire round. When the wind blows like this and things are going bad, you got to be deliberate. You got to give it your full effort. She just kind of put it out there. She didn't really give it that great effort, but at this point, maybe just wanting the hole to be over with. So here's Sarah Hokom for par.
Look at the flag right now.
Yeah. Just gusty. It's blowing, then it's slowing.
Nice. Right in the heart. Not allowing the wind to affect that at all. Another clean hole played by Sarah Hokom. That's what you got to do out here on this course. Keep it safely in bounds, and you're going to have a nice, steady round.
Absolutely. There we see the tap in for par for Jessica and the double bogey for Rebecca Cox. And we're going to go ahead and move over to hole 8. Let's take a look at it.
Here we are in hole 8. There's a tee pad right there on the left-hand side of the screen. Starts off with a slight anhyzer shot landing into that landing zone on the right-hand side, but it's really a 2-drive type of hole. The first one starts out a placement shot, making sure you're landing yourself right in the middle of the fairway, and then it gets a little bit more technical as we work our way to the basket. OB again surrounding left-hand side, right-hand side, and beyond the basket. So just keeping your drives within those stakes, you're going to be doing pretty well. Once you get up to the basket, it does you can see that the OB line is creeping in about 15 feet. So the upshot, you do want to land on the left-hand side. Make sure you're safe and not adding another stroke to that scorecard. There we go. We are playing from the blue tee, so 550-foot shot. Just look at that snake, the snaked fairway.
Yeah, the M, sort of an M if you look at it from that perspective, but
or a W, depending on which way you're turning
I guess
your
so.
head.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the MW hole, but I absolutely love hole 8. It is a challenge at every single level because see the fairway you just played downhill, you're playing now back uphill. We also have a headwind now. Clearly, we saw the tailwind, so I love this hole. I think for today's players that we're watching right now, I believe that pars would be very, very good at this point. But of course, you never know. Just for reference for everybody at home, hole 7, the only person to birdie it throughout the entire field was Paige Pierce. She birdied hole 7. She also followed it up with a birdie on hole 8, which is the one our lead card is on. And Paige Pierce that even par for the round, not doing anything crazy, but actually, based on everybody that's out there, she's playing the 3rd best round. Sarah Hokom's 2 under, Haley King's 1 under, and Paige Pierce is at even par. So the one reason we always bring this up is because Paige Pierce is always lurking out there in the field.
Nice pop on that sidearm for Sarah. And as you mentioned, it is going uphill. And off of the tee, I feel like it's the most dramatic that you're going to see the uphill shot. On the second shot, you're a little more level with the basket. So you kind of forget that it is uphill. So it's tough to realize how much power you have to put on each and every shot as you're gaining out in elevation. And that was such a smooth drive. Great follow through from Jessica Weese. She's going to be sitting in a nice position, able to get enough distance off of that first shot to shorten up the upshot.
Yep. So Kristin's had a few tough holes in a row now. She had that park job birdie back on 6, but she's had a few issues between there on 5 and 7. She's got it in the middle of the fairway. Again, I just think this is such a great birdie for our players and a solid par as well. Rebecca's got it far over on that right side, but inbounds. And there's all 4 of our players. We're going to take a break, and we'll catch up with you in the fairway. Oh, actually, we're going to stop here and catch up with Madison Walker. Take it away, Maddie.
Hi, welcome back out into the field with the FPO lead card. Temperatures are raising up here. It's getting a lot warmer, a lot nicer, but the wind is also increasing. In the past few holes, we've seen it gusting from 15, even 20 miles per hour. It's requiring a lot of focus out here, but we're watching these ladies do just that. I know Jessica Weese had some unfortunate circumstances in her family last night as well, and still, regardless of that, she's laser focused, keeping it in the fairway every time, just like she plans to do. Let's get back to the action.
Oh, nice. Thanks, Madison. Yeah, let's get back to it. I think the one thing I take away from that is, that it's warming up. But as that sun's hitting these fairways, these wide open holes, that wind is starting to really gust. So 15 to 20 miles an hour, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's something that we can't see on our monitors here. It's tough for you guys to see at home while you're tuning in. So it's awesome to have somebody there on the course telling us what's actually going on. And especially when these rolling valleys in the next couple of holes, it's going to be really important for players to be hyper focused on what the wind is doing and how it could affect their shots.
Yep.
Especially with all that out of bounds creeping in.
Right. We just saw that sort of little hovercraft there for Kristin Tattar as it was sort of catching wind, losing wind, catching wind, but she's ultimately inbounds and safe. And she was playing it just as a chip, basically. She's chipping it up there into the meaty part of the fairway. She's going to have another kind of chip up into the green. So clearly deciding to play this hole for par. And let's face it, the numbers don't lie for us. Pars are good. I mean, if you were out here and you were parring everything, you'd be doing pretty darn good. You'd be in second place at this point in the tournament. So, I think, of course, these are the best players in the world. They're always going to be looking to make the birdies, but I think pars in this wind conditions on this course is a good thing. Especially, you have a whole nother day tomorrow at Brewster in the woods, and you got to come back out here on Sunday. Sarah's got that high, and crosswinds hit it. She's now inside circle number 2.
I'm talking about pars are good. Sarah Hokom's scorecard is just so clean.
Yeah.
It was so clean yesterday. There weren't not a lot of birdies, but not a lot of bogeys. I mean, just that steady golf is what is going to keep you in the game. And right now, it's keeping Sarah in the lead. Everyone else has had a lot of color on their scorecard, bogeys, double bogeys, and those can just start to add up. And we know that a lot of these errors are due to that out of bounds. And when you're throwing out of bounds, it's really tough to save yourself some strokes out here. That was a nice up from Jessica. See, we're still pretty far outside putting range for those up shots. So we're going to see, I'm guessing, a lot of solid pars. Rebecca was able to pump this one out here, so she's got the best opportunity.
Now Rebecca Cox has got it in the air and looks like she's going to come down inbounds safely as well. And again, I think this is the one thing about watching the ladies play, and especially a course like this. They have to be so technical. If we were watching Paige Pierce play this course, it could be a little different. I think we might be seeing some more aggressive play, but this group, I think this is kind of what we expect. Technical play, get it in bounds, get it kind of played into the right zone. And, they're in this round, they're in this group for a reason at this point. They played very well yesterday, but they played very well yesterday in the woods. And so now we're out in the open with wind. So we'll see how they handle it. I mean, we're not even barely halfway through the second round. So as you said, Hokom's card is very clean. I do have to say, I sort of fumbled on this earlier. I was talking about Paige Bierkes, who had won the world championships here last year. Yeah, she's not in the field at this event. So I think I corrected myself. I thought I made a mistake, but actually I was correct there in the beginning. Our world champion from last year is not in the field. But if she was, she'd probably have an advantage getting those good vibes from it. Now, a guy who, on the guy side, Ricky Wysocki, who's won this tournament a ton, he's nowhere near the lead. So I think it just goes to show you how great these courses are, though, too. If you don't play well, you're not going to score well. I mean, you got to have every facet of your game on point here.
This really takes a well-rounded player. As you were mentioning, the strategy. This is a different strategy we're watching out of this group. Not a lot of fireworks on these longer holes, but getting themselves in the placement. Not running for things that getting too crazy, but also that keeps them safe and it keeps the errors low. There we go. Sarah's playing safe.
Yeah, I think that's Sarah's game.
Sticking to the game plan, absolutely.
Yeah, I think she's game planning it. At this point, I don't think she's missed too many shots. I mean, she had the one OB on hole 4. She was able to get it up and in for par. Boy, the wind just gusting so hard right now through this humongous gap in these trees. And just a pitch down to the basket, make the putting easy on her. We saw Rebecca have a little heat on her upshot. Not horribly far away, but just enough to make you think.
We get the win from her left side. So pushing your disc left to right. Slight tail though, maybe. But right now, this is just all about getting the right height, hitting right in the middle of the basket. Wow.
Boy, I actually almost call that a falling putt. I mean, her left foot went in front of her lie. I don't know. It was a tough angle for us to tell, but she was just way off balance and unable to get that up and in for Rebecca. And again, it's not our job to tell at all. It's the player's job. And there we go. Sarah's got that tapped in. I think Madison said it best. You have to have that laser focus. You know, it's breezy out here. You got big gusts. But you know what? You have to make the wind your friend. It can't be your enemy, because at the end of the day, if wind's your enemy, it's going to win every single time. And so you got to work with it. You got to make sure that it's helping you in that sense. So there we are. Hole 8 is in the books. Let's take a look at hole 9.
You mentioned how you loved hole 8. I love hole 9, par 3, 375 feet, working our way back downhill again. OB on the left-hand side, the right-hand side. This one's just all about hitting that perfect line, and felt like this set up really well for a nice flip-up shot, carrying all the way down the hill and hyzering off to the left. It's a little more open landing zone on the left-hand side of the basket, but this is just a fun shot to watch, and the birdie opportunity is definitely here. There's a big hill that players are going to be, as they throw down the fairway, the hill comes into play, which may block a little bit of that wind as we saw blowing from left to right. So it's all about the players to understand that the hill could be blocking the wind and it might not be as strong as they're feeling up on the tee pad.
Yeah, you're right. Well, I basically love every hole out here.
I know,
But
they're
hole
so
9
fun.
is nice. I mean, it's a super challenging hole, and you birdie this hole, you've done something right, and there's just no doubt about it. Big thanks to Gatekeeper Media for the flyovers here of both courses. So thank you to Gatekeeper for that, for the drone footage. And now you can see the layout, and keep the red dots going. They're everywhere on this course. And again, I think you think about it, Sarah Hokom's game plays well. If she's able to make a few putts from 15, 18, 25 feet, something like that, she's able to keep it in bounds, she's going to have a chance to win this tournament.
She's starting off well already, but this is a technical shot for a sidearm here. We know that the hill is on the left-hand side, so that can come into play. Got the wind blowing, so if she shows the underside of the disc to the wind, it's going to push her off to the right-hand side into the out of bounds. So she's got to focus on this angle.
Ooh, she's got that might cut roll. Well, I could not see that.
We see the spotter running up. I believe she's close, if not completely out of bounds.
Spotter's still looking for it, which... Oh, okay.
Seemingly just close to out of bounds. As they give spotter some relief that they got it. Let's see, what is Jessica Weese going to throw?
Yeah, I'm thinking backhand. I think with the wind, it makes a lot more sense. Yeah, you see her lining the backhand up. Oh, that's a nice line. And that's going to be perfectly in the middle of the fairway. No worries. No worries whatsoever. Now we'll see Kristin Tattar line up here as well. Went a little higher, and that would have been the absolute perfect line. You can see her thanking the Frisbee gods for keeping her inbounds. She took a little skip, but safely inbounds. That was on a good line, though. Ooh, has it got enough stability? She's waving her hand. Oh, and that's going to be out of bounds. 2 out of bounds here on hole 9 for our players, and we're going to take a break, and we'll catch up with Sarah Hokom in the fairway.
Today, we're talking about the Undertaker. The Undertaker is a fairway driver, and for advanced players, it will be pretty straight, but for the newer player, it'll be a good first control driver. For me, the Undertaker is the perfect point-and-shoot fairway driver, both in the woods and out in the open. If I'm throwing at a target that's straight ahead, I'm going with the Undertaker every time. It's just really straight. You can pick one up at Discraft.com or your local disc golf retailer.
Hey, GMC viewers, go buy a mock shift basket from DGA, putt on it one time every other month, and see if your putting improves by like 200%. It probably won't because that's not very consistent practice, but man, wouldn't that be awesome?
I can throw this disc around the world in one shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8. See? Stay getting birdies, my friends.
We are back here live on hole 9 with Sarah Hokom, and the rich keep getting richer because she was just in bounds from what we could tell. She's now taken her mark, and she'll be throwing her second shot from this point. Isn't it something, though? You just need some of those. Just a little bit of help. She was just a few inches from being out of bounds, but she's in bounds.
But every,
one of those raises the blood pressure, and yeah.
But she still I'm sure she's still so confident. Her game is looking really solid. And it's just, there's those days where you're on the other side of the line just by that much.
Right.
So it all evens out in the game of golf.
Right. Another tap in for Sarah. That's the other key. If she can get it in close. Sarah's a solid putter from 20 and in. I mean, she's very solid. From 25, 30, 35, she's not as, just statistically, not as good as some of the other players. But a lot of those short putts are going to take a lot of that stress level down.
And especially when the wind's picking up, there's not going to be a lot of players that are hitting bigger putts like that. Mm-hmm. So it really pays off to work on your upshot and make sure that you're landing the disc close to the basket and just giving yourself some relief, not having to always rely on your putter to save yourself. You see a lot of tailwind behind Rebecca's shot. Gotta make sure she gets it up high enough to carry to the basket.
That's a big gust right there. Making her think just a little bit more about what she's got to do from this point. Ooh. And the wind grabbed it immediately. Val, did you notice? I mean, as soon as she let that go, she's obviously going for a jump putt. But as soon as she let that go, it had a little bit of wobble. It wasn't a clean release. The wind caught it on a turnover, took it right down into that OB area. Now, all of a sudden, we're going to see a big number from Rebecca's. Now that's 2 out of bounds.
That was a huge mistake.
Mm-hmm.
The out of bounds is on the right-hand side the entire way and basically looking you in the face. play it off to the left. That's a little bit of greed coming into play, trying to get it close to the basket. But in the end, she's wishing she could take that shot back.
And Jessica able to chip it up there. She's given herself a little bit of a putt. I mean, it's not parked by any means. And on a day without any wind and a day in a woodsy course, we wouldn't even be talking about that. But here in the open, we're going to be talking about it. And Kristin's able to chip it up nicely. Yeah, I think you said it right, though, Val. That's a big mistake by Rebecca. And really, it's all about confidence. You could tell, from 65, 75 feet, she's going to go for the jump putt, right, to just try to get it close. But put a bunch of wobble on it. It wasn't a clean release. It was almost just like a missed shot. And then the wind, just taking it and throwing it out of bounds immediately. So the strokes adding up quickly for Rebecca at this point. Unfortunately for her, we've seen 3 orange colors in a row on her scorecard all the way back to hole number 6. And that's going to be a double bogey for Rebecca Cox here on hole 9. And unfortunately, she's going in the wrong direction while Sarah Hokom's just sort of playing a little bit of level golf here. Is it one of those things, too, where a player who's prepared to play the game plan of playing it fairly safe and then the wind comes up, they don't really have to change anything? They're just kind of sticking with their game plan versus somebody who, in a practice round with aim, and that was a solid putt there by Jessica, that played in maybe low wind conditions or no wind conditions and was really aggressive. That's something right there that's always so tough.
Oh yeah, it can turn your entire game plan on its head. If you were playing that aggressive line and all of a sudden you're second guessing yourself, I mean, you didn't set yourself up in a solid game plan. So you're behind the 8 ball from the very start.
Correct. And now that's 9 holes. So we played half the course. Let's take a look at hole 10 as we move to the back 9.
And here we are on hole 10. A lot of elevation on this one. We won't see that in the course map, but take a look at this flyover. It's a great opportunity for birdie. Great setup for a sidearm. The shot needs to work from the left to the right. There are some trees that overhang on the right-hand side, so you don't have that straight up the gut shot or a hyzer line for that matter. So the backhand throwers are going to have to pop a little anhyzer and just let it just dig into that hillside. You don't really have to worry about throwing it long. So we're going to see some fairway drivers on this one, and making sure you're getting enough distance will allow you to be able to attack a birdie on this. So got a lot of sidearm throwers on this hole, and I'm sure this is probably one of their favorite holes of the tournament, especially because it's so reachable.
Yeah, for Hokom and Weese, this hole lays out very nicely. For some of the others, it's a lot more difficult. In fact, I just saw on an Instagram post from Jomez with their follow flight a shot that Kale LaVisca threw on this hole 2 years ago at the last Green Mountain Championship, and he just buttered up a turnover. I mean, it was such a nice shot, but so difficult to execute, especially with a right to left wind. That wind's or a left to right wind coming off of their left side. And so it can be tough to kind of nail that in there. Exactly. So We will see what Sarah has for it. Sarah, on the other hand, can just throw something overstable, pick a line on that far left side she wants to hit, and just let it guide it right into towards the basket. She's got it flipped, actually. Let's see where that ends up. It looks inbounds. Lost her hat.
Yeah, a lot of power on that one. Her hat just flies off.
Right.
But she should be plenty safe. It really opens up on the left-hand side. And there's a lot of OB out here, but it's very strategically placed. So on a shot like this, you know, knowing all the players have to play that left to right flight path, then you have the OB tucked closely on the right-hand side.
Oh. And that's going to cut roll. I can see it from another camera angle. It cut rolled out of bounds. It is OB. Boy, I mean, unfortunately, they're proving us wrong. I mean, I really thought the sidearm would be, even with the current conditions, a good shot. But
that was just a pure shank.
Yeah, she just shanked it straight. Way too much turnover and way too low. And Kristin's got a beautiful line on this, playing this absolutely buttered. Oh, yeah, there you go. So,
you know, we see Kristin's playing pretty steady, but just the way she's stepping up to the tee pad, the way that she's instantly throwing, there's no hesitation. It's like she's playing a different course.
Right.
She's just so calm and collected, and I think that's really paying off.
Just a little bit more to the left side, but safely inbounds for Rebecca. We're going to take a short break, and we'll catch up with Jessica Weese.
What do you think, flatness and stiffness on this?
Somewhat flat, neutral stiffness. This is a good disc right here.
Purple and orange. Got it. 2 more.
Danny, this is the sick one.
Dude, I gotta get through all these today.
Cheers to a good day, gentlemen.
Cheers. Ooh.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's a hard day.
It's great.
When I need to check the wind, I just let out my hair.
Disc golf is 90% mental. The other 10% also mental.
If you want to make new friends on the course, pick up someone's disc in the fairway. By accident. Stay getting birdies, my friends.
I practice a lot. It's a vice. An escape from stress, from work. It's my chance to just get away during the week. It's like meeting up with an old friend, you know? I'll never get tired of that sound.
And in the woods, we see our players. They're actually searching around for the disc of Jessica Weese that took an extreme roll. I'll tell you, I've been down there. It's steep. It just drops off into a big, huge ravine. So our players are trying to figure that out. But welcome back. We're here on hole 10 with our our lead card of the ladies round of the second round of Discraft's Green Mountain Championship presented by Grip Equipment. I'm Nate Doss, joined by 4-time women's disc golf world champion Valarie Jenkins. And thank you all for joining us here. If you're just getting up on the West Coast or if you've been joining us since the beginning, we've had sort of a tough round here for our players. Most of our players are over par. Sarah Hokom is our leader of the tournament by 5 strokes over Jessica Weese. And it's been one of those types of days, Val. I mean, and really, that's what this course can do to you. I mean, it's big, it's open, there's a lot of OB, anything can happen.
And we see the wind picking up as the round continues on, and it's really getting into players' minds.
It looked like I never would have came that way.
Jessica just reconfirming that this is likely the spot that she hit the ground and rolled out of bounds. Yeah, it's shots like that. It's the errors like that. These out of bounds just come into play on every single shot on this course. And so these errors just continue to add up. And at this point, Sarah Hokom is on just steady play. And that's what's keeping her in that first place position. Steady play, not a lot of errors, and playing nice and safe.
Oh my goodness. And almost out of bounds again for Jessica Weese. We just saw Rebecca Cox do the same thing on the last hole, just not going for the throw, going for more of a jump putt and unable to control it. You would think that the jump putt would be more controllable. Sometimes when the breeze is blowing, having some nice spin on it that you would get on a regular throw is an advantage.
And spin is huge. That's one thing that I learned. You know, the more tournaments you play in non-perfect conditions like this, I learned that in Las Vegas. There's crazy wind in Las Vegas in the springtime, and you know you're putting a pop on the disc, but it's not a lot of arm power. It's that pop and spin, allowing it to carry to the basket, and that's the kind of throws that you need to kind of fall back on when you're playing in the wind. Jessica, such a similar shot to what Rebecca threw on the last hole. You threw out of bounds. Now your OB is so tight on the right-hand side and you make that error again.
Right.
So I think Jessica's right on the edge there. I think she'll be called safe, but it's going to be a big putt for her. But again, just another kind of throwing things off balance and off kilter.
Yeah, absolutely. I think very well said. You're right. Vegas is windy and learning to throw with that pop, that spin. But just think about this from a perspective of Sarah Hokom. I mean, your closest competitors are just collapsing at this point. Sarah's going to walk away from this hole with at least a 6-stroke lead, if not a 7-stroke lead, depending on if this putt goes in or not. And then all of a sudden, Haley King is in second place with, being at 2 over par. She's even par for the round. So, I mean, Sarah could come out of this round with a big lead if she can continue her solid play and everybody else can't keep up. It's a tough putt. Uphill. Just missing it on that right side. So that'll be at best a double bogey for Jessica. She's going to drop out of solo second place into a tie with Kristin Tattar. Although if Kristin can make this, she would move into second place. And able to make it. She's made a bunch of good putts already in this round. Impressive birdie for Kristin Tattar. She's going to move to 2 over and in a tie with Haley King. She'll be in a tie for second. 6 strokes back of our leader, Sarah Hokom.
Wow. I'm not sure what to say about that shot.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a wind. It's a win from right to left. Now, I put it Anheuser for years. It's a win from right to left. You put a turnover into it, it's going to just take it down. I mean, you got to go flat. When I was putting the best, I would always be able to make those adjustments and putt flat with that win. But there we are, hole 10. Sarah's got the tap in for par. That's our leader, 6-stroke lead. Let's take a look at hole 11, Val.
Hole 11, par 4, 500 feet is another couple of placement drives. First one, you're going to land in this area that we see our players dropping their bags, and you got to check out this green. Landing, you got to land it over that rock wall and down into the woods here. But again, out of bounds, completely surrounding this fairway on all sides and beyond. But the drive, it's great. You want to get out there, give yourself a good distance off of the tee, but it really comes down to that upshot. And you can find yourself in trouble if you hit the first couple of trees. So this is, it's just technical. It's just a very technical second shot.
Yeah, first shot's more of a placement. You know, you're on the left side. You got the kind of the big hyzer line. Put it there, but then, yeah, that second shot's totally blind, and you really have one main gap to hit, and then you got all the woods to handle with. So we'll take a second here and give a big shout out to the Professional Disc Golf Association for their continued support of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. Really, the PDGA has been so supportive of the Disc Golf Pro Tour since the inception. So big thanks to everybody at the PDGA, all the staff and everybody there. So thank you so much. And we'll head back out to the course. We'll see Kristin Tattar on the tee pad here of hole 11. Ooh, she's got it turned straight. Does it have the distance? And she is inbounds. That was heading straight OB. She's now way out of position on that far right side.
Yes, and it is out of position. It's making that angle for her second shot just way more technical. So landing straight and a little closer on the left-hand side will give you a nice straight shot, a good look at your second shot. And it's going to be tough for Sarah to place it where I had just mentioned. So here we go. Sidearm carrying off to the right-hand side. Lands her safely in bounds, but again, as we know, she'll probably pull out a sidearm for a second shot, which favors very well for the angle.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And Rebecca with that whip. She's got it on a good line. That's going to be in the middle on kind of the right side, but she'll have a look down towards that basket, towards that green. And last, we'll see Jessica Weese come on to the tee pad here. Jacket off for Jessica, so a little warm after a triple bogey on the last hole. See if she can get back on track here. She's got that turned over. It's got to get down. Ooh, took a late kick. Can't tell what happened. We're going to take a break. We'll catch up with Jessica and see if she's in bounds. So here's the big question I have. Now, our spotter gave Jessica the out of bounds flag as we went to break. Now, it looks to me like she's outside of those pegs. So not sure what's actually happening here, to be honest with everybody at home. Yeah, but she's inbounds now. It seems to me as if she's taking her relief outside those pegs. So I can't speak to everybody at home what's actually happening there. Oh, and here, yeah, I'm just getting in my ear right now, Val. Those pegs that we see are actually the shortest tee on the course. So when regular people go out and play, that's where they would play from if they were going to play the shortest hole. The pegs were just behind Jessica, and we believe she took her relief from the line that was marked. So don't know exactly if she was OB or out OB or inbounds, but either way, she did not misplay her lie there. How's the line looking?
Looks pretty good there. She didn't hit a single tree, able to get over the rock wall, which is always a bonus. So she'll have a good look at a putt. Slight downhill. I mean, there's just so many trees as we see right around this green. So even if you do get over the rock wall, you want to make sure you're pushing it far enough to at least make that technical putt a little bit shorter.
Yeah, I think she's going to have a pretty techie putt, but it's a putt nonetheless, and that's the key. That's the key. She's going to continue to just keep chugging forward and trying to take advantage of what has been solid play up to this point. She's gotten through.
You can see,
Yeah.
you
Been
can't
over there
really see.
before.
You can't see where the disc
Right.
landed. There's way too many trees between us and her disc. Gonna have another technical shot.
So, Kristin, you see the head moving right there? That's the head of Kristin Tattar. She's ran all the way up from her shot to take a look at the gap that she's going to be going down here.
And I feel like that was Kristin in the preview. That might have
Yeah,
been.
might have been. Yeah. Live previews. Yeah, so she kind of walked all the way up. She's just getting back to her lie, trying to visualize the line, the angle of going down that gap. I see a sidearm from her.
That's a good play. She is just so tucked tight on the right-hand side. Ooh, and that's high.
And it's kicked to the right.
And we're going to have to take a look at how close that corner is marked for the out of bounds. As that could have kicked her out of bounds, and she's still about 60 feet from the basket.
With a bunch of trees in the way. Yeah, she's... We see that the OB line goes way up there. She's marking it. Yep, so she's going to be OB. She's still at the top of the hill and not in a good position whatsoever. Now she's going to have to kind of work a turnover, like around the big tree just in front of her. Yeah, tough. Again, you're Sarah Hokom. You're watching your closest competitors in your group make mistakes while you're kind of playing down the middle and giving herself opportunity. She's going to have a birdie opportunity here. So something to really be this is noteworthy here. Haley King has just bogeyed another hole. She's now 3 over par. Sarah Hokom is just allowing her game plan to dictate her game, and everybody else is just having trouble.
It's a good position to be in. That is just, it makes the round just seem so effortless. You're of course putting a lot of focus in each and every shot. But on days like this where things just are seemingly coming easy to Sarah as she's staying in bounds and making these fairways a lot more simple than her competitors. Where, you know, I guess that's what I was just talking about. The game where, you know, you're 2 inches on the inbounds one day and 2 inches out of bounds the next day. It's the same with how you play these fairways. Some days those wooded holes just so easy. You're not even having to deal with the trees, and then the next day completely flip-flop. You see Jessica was able to make her way pretty far through the trees. She's going to have a short putt there. You see Rebecca's trying to get an eye on how far she actually made it into the trees.
And now Kristin, with what would be her fourth shot, she was able to get it around that corner, but not get it anywhere near the basket. She's going to have a sort of a sketchy putt here as well as it goes away behind the basket.
And pretty fast too, if you are missing long.
Yeah, it's quick back there.
Are you kidding me? Beautiful shot.
That deserves a Zuka replay. Now remember, this is for bogey here, and bang, another huge putt for Kristin Tattar. That's like 3 big putts already that we've seen from her.
What a great viewpoint too, when you're just watching her reach and extend, and then as the disc just last second hyzers into the basket. Beautiful, beautiful putt.
It's not often that we have a bogey putt be the Zuka replay.
Right.
But in that case, you let it roll, right?
Yeah.
You let that Zuka replay roll. And thank you to Zuka for the sponsorship of the Zuka replay. Oh, and that, again, that's big sling putt just coming up just short for Rebecca, excuse me. And now we see Sarah, our tournament leader. This is for birdie. You know, it's a tricky putt. She's going to have to probably straddle, which she's comfortable with. Going around one tree and inside the circle. Boy, yes. There we go.
You know, in my mind, that was 50-50.
Right.
We haven't seen Sarah cash in a lot of putts like that in those opportunities.
Right.
That was a big one. That was a huge confidence builder, you know, a little bit of a tester, a little bit of a distance, and able to hit that.
Yeah.
Got to be feeling very strong about her game right now.
Oh, man. I mean, what can you say? Yeah. So there we are. Hole 11's in the books.
Doss lost for words?
We'll get back to that in a second. But Val, break us down hole 12. We'll get back to where we are in a sec.
Here we are on hole 12. Again, this is a placement type of hole. First one starts off in this landing zone. So giving yourself enough distance where you're just short of that out of bounds tall grass. Second shot leads you to crush over as far as you can to reach the basket. Par 4, 630 feet. 2 perfect drives will give you that look at a birdie. It's tough though. I think that second shot is really the hardest. So we're not going to see a lot of players crushing it far enough to land into that second landing zone. So they're going to lay up short, and it's all about that second shot. If they're giving themselves enough distance, they'll be able to putt.
Yeah, absolutely. And looking at the stats here, playing as the second most difficult hole, playing 1.22 over par. It's a tough hole, as they all are out here on this course. There's just really almost at every point on this course, there's not a hole that you step up to and you're like, yeah, I got to get this one. I got to try to,
attack it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough.
So let's take a look at the top 10 leaderboard. And this is why I was a little bit taken away, because Sarah Hokom, she makes a huge putt there. 7-stroke lead now.
Huge.
Kristin Tattar's in second place. She just bogeyed.
Right.
You know, she's still in solo second place. Haley King at 4, Jessica Weese at 5, and then the big name that we're all keeping an eye on, Paige Pierce there, our 5-time women's world champ.
Yeah,
She's
she's
moved
climbing her
up.
way up
Yeah.
to that to the lead card, possibly going to be in the lead card tomorrow. She's also through 12 holes, so she's just in the groups, just ahead of the lead card. But man, yeah, you can't count her out, as you said, and she's working her way up there. But hopefully, I mean, you know, we're heading back into the woods tomorrow. It's just going to be this kind of back and forth game.
Yep.
But players are getting that second chance at redemption. So if you did play not so great in that first round at Brewster's Ridge here at the Green Mountain Championship, you've got that redemption round for the third round. And
that is nice.
I always love tournaments like that. You know, we do play a lot of tournaments where it's just one round and done. It's like, oh, but I left so much out there. These players are going to get that chance tomorrow to make up for it.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And that's a big key. You know, this is now not something that's common. We don't play 2 courses, you know, in tournaments that often.
Yeah.
You know, we did at the World Championships, and you know, there's a few others here and there that we do, but you know, for the most part, players prepare on one course, one set of tees, one set of baskets.
Right.
You know, this is 36 holes to prepare for. As we can see by the scores. You know, we've seen some of these ladies events where we got bulks of players under par. Clearly we don't see that today. So, but look at that. Sarah Hokom 5 down. And I don't believe in this because I know they can't hear us, but Sarah Hokom only has 1 bogey.
For the tournament.
For the entire tournament. I'm not afraid to talk about that. I think that's impressive to this point. And I think one of the reasons why she is where she is. You look at any one of the other scorecards, they're riddled with orange. Sarah Hokom's got 1 orange box for 2 days. So impressive stuff. She's got it on a good line here and in good position.
Whole lot of body language off of that drive, but she's going to be on the left-hand side there of the first landing zone.
And here's Kristin Tattar. She's got it right there in the middle. Value said it perfectly. In the breakdown of the hole, it's all about position at this point. There's really nothing these players can do but put it up there, put it in the middle. There's really just not, there's no cut the corner. There's no nothing. It's just put it in position. It's got to get down, and that'll be just fine. Rebecca, it's got on that left side. It's got to get down. And she's inbounds as well. So we'll take a break and we'll catch up with them in the fairway.
The DGA Pipeline's the longest, straightest fairway driver you'll ever throw. I just need a good line about pipes and disc golf. Pipes. I got nothing.
Now coming out of commercial, we see Kristin Tattar. You can see the fairway they're now playing to. You can see the basket way back there. It's another big shot. Again, I think potentially just another placement shot for most of our players. Kristin's got a nice turn on that, but it's flexing out. Safely in bounds. Just a chip from there. About 100 feet out. Would it be safe to say, Val, that probably Paige Pierce is the only one that can get all the way there into maybe Katrina? Is that probably true in this case?
I would say that's absolutely true. It's all about pushing that first drive. So you can see Sarah's still pretty safe on her drive. She still has about...
That's got to get down, though. We have no idea what happened there. We have no clue. We will wait to find out there. Sarah's hoping it's safe, but she got that lifted. But continue.
But as I was saying, there's still some room to be taken off of that drive. You can still gain a little bit more distance. That's adding, 60, 80 feet on your drive. Then that continues to add on as you work your way down the fairway, and you're pushing it if you're going to try and go for the birdie on this one. But yeah, a player like Paige could absolutely save a shot from here.
Yeah, and I got to just give a huge shout out to the grounds crew here at Smuggler's Notch. This course is in absolutely perfect condition. I don't, as far as disc golf is concerned, I don't even see a single piece of grass out of place. I mean, it is that nice out here. Our players able to play under absolutely beautiful conditions. Jeff Spring, his entire staff, the whole Smuggler's Notch team. Big ups to you for keeping this place in such beautiful condition.
And it is beautiful, and it is a passion of theirs to be out there every day, taking care of this course for those that play it when they come on vacation at the resort. And then, of course, as the big tournaments roll through, and they're getting pretty accustomed to those big tournaments rolling through this area.
They really do. It's become a passion. I know there's a story that I was told by Jeff Spring, our event director, as well as our Disc Golf Pro Tour director. He was telling me that when they first put in Brewster's, there was the plan to run the World Championship. And the owner of Smuggler's Notch Resort, he said, I want the world here, Jeff. And that was their goal. And they certainly have done it. I mean, it's impressive. It's impressive to now be here in 2019 and to look down the field of players. I mean, there's players all the way from California, and we're in Vermont. I understand they're on tour, but I mean, this is something that just 10 years ago would have never happened. So congrats to all of them. It's official that Sarah Hokom is inbounds, but still quite a ways back. This is going to be a test of her upshot ability from this position.
It's just racking up that scramble rate.
Exactly. Although I don't even know if you can scramble on this course, because if you're off the fairway, you're out of bounds. So,
yeah, exactly.
But yeah, she's that's going to be the first tester putt of the round, I would say, because it's not for birdie, it's for par. So we'll see if Sarah's able to knock that one down.
Ooh.
There you go.
Style points on that one.
I like it. Yeah, that's a nice upshot there by Rebecca. You can see the difference. She's throwing it. She's not jump putting it. It was a nice clean release, flew perfectly. Of course, now because of the direction of the wind, they're being blocked out a lot by these trees. So it's probably fairly pleasant where they are right now.
And with this angle, I got to give a big shout out to our camera crew out there, allowing us to get this sneak peek and follow along with the live coverage here of the lead card. And there's so many.
I can't figure Kristin out. What's the decision making of throwing a sidearm there? I mean, unless you're just working on it, but either way, she threw a nice upshot. I don't want to say that, but I mean, I guess you got both angles, backhand and sidearm. I would have thought she would have thrown a backhand, but nice upshot there.
Keep us guessing,
I guess, yeah.
Keep giving
Give
us something to talk
about. Hey, Jinx, first one. It's the first one.
Oh, you spent a lot of hours in the booth with somebody.
Right. Just in the booth. That's it. So here we go. Sarah Hokom, first big test putt of the round. 4 par, our tournament leader.
Well, it was online.
Yeah.
You can say that.
It was. It really was. And, maybe there is something about that commentator curse, because I was just talking about it, and there we go. There's her first bogey of the round. She's going to walk up and mark. She's going to have to put a mark down. Right? And then just tap it out, and that'll be an official bogey there for our tournament leader, Sarah Hokom. Still a huge lead at this point. Could have been worse because she could have been out of bounds off that second shot. So now we swing over and see Jessica Weese. Oh, man, and Jessica just having trouble around the greens. That I mentioned it early. I mentioned it early in the round. Jessica Weese, her play is driven by the putting. I mean, she's pretty good tee to green, but she's got to be able to make those putts. And when she's feeling confident, she's going to play a lot better. So there we go. I think we just have one more, Kristin Tattar. Then we're going to swing around and hear from Madison Walker. So take it away, Maddie.
Hi, welcome back to the ladies lead card out here at Smuggler's Notch on Fox Run. Holes 7 through 11 are affectionately referred to as Amen Corner, just like the Masters. A lot can go wrong and a lot can go right. There's lots of birdies, lots of bogeys. Sarah Hokom is the only one that got through those holes bogey free, and she also hit a big outside the circle putt to save birdie on hole 11. She's currently in the lead, and we heard her joking on the last couple of tee pads. Thank God I played in a hurricane last weekend on Nantucket Island, because this wind is no sweat off her back. Back to you guys at the booth.
Perfectly said, though.
I know, right?
Played in a hurricane.
Yeah, when you have something that's so recent in your memory of playing disc golf and crazy winds and rain and all that. A little breeze out there today.
Right, you're on an island in the Atlantic Ocean playing in a hurricane.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so interesting there, though. That Sarah even vocalized that. That she made that, and that probably to me says more about the actual wind conditions that are on the ground. I mean, we saw some gusting, but clearly it's something that the players are thinking about and talking about.
Absolutely, and going from gusting winds on some holes, then to basically not even there on that last hole. That second drive for the players, that didn't really affect them.
Exactly. Yeah. And then Sarah making the mistake, making the sort of the first chink in the armor. Of course, we have so long to go in the event still, obviously still 2 full rounds on both courses, but and again, at this point, Sarah's been able to just sort of float along and gain strokes without really doing anything. I mean, that's always the nice thing, to be able to gain strokes when everybody else, when you're just parring, you're just gaining because everybody's bogeying. But there we go. Paige Pierce, 5-time world champ. She's moved into a tie for 4th. So at this point, she would be on our card tomorrow. Now, the one thing, UDisc wise, I believe Paige Pierce is done. And here in a second, I'll take a look and see if we can't figure out her score. I just think she's not on hole 12. She's already played hole 12, and she's almost done with her round because she wasn't.
Seems the scores are just stuck on that position.
Yeah, because you can see Missy Gannon and Kona, they were playing in the second card. Paige Pierce was in the third card. So we know at least Paige is on probably 17 or 18. So as soon as her score comes in, we'll update you with that. I mean, we have no idea what she's done in these last 6 holes. She could be, she could be even par for the tournament. But, we'll see. We'll wait for those scores to come in. And, but yeah, there's a long walk for our players. They're heading back now to the main part of the whole complex, the disc golf complex, where sort of the 2 courses meet. And now we get into some more technical holes. They're fairly open. It's sort of a play between open and wooded now for these last few that our players have to play. And
and I feel like the fairways are just getting a little bit more narrow. So there's still just as much out of bounds, but it just comes into play a lot more. So your shots really need to be on point. And this hole specifically, we see Kristin lining up on the tee pad now, but it's a par 3, 350 feet. Players on the tee, you can't see the basket. You're aiming for that power line. You're aiming for that power pole and hoping to swoop it down. This is a little bit too much on the left-hand side. You really need to carry it toward the power pole, just beyond, and then let the disc hyzer on its own. If you put too much hyzer on it, you'll see this very thick brush on the left-hand side.
Wind direction wise, our players are playing into a headwind through this sort of what would kind of turn into a wind tunnel, to be honest. And
it was a great shot from Rebecca.
A little short, but yeah, I mean,
was able to carry far enough. She'll still have a putt. She's definitely within her zone.
And so here we now see Sarah Hokom, leader of the tournament, 400 par. This is a tough shot for her, but being that she's thrown sidearm her whole career, turnovers are something she's used to, and she's got that way too turned over. Now the scramble rate comes into play potentially. So we'll see what Jessica does here. Now we see Jessica going with the backhand. Let's see the line she puts it on. Ooh, she's got a good. Ooh, I like this. If it gets down a bit. Oh, and still just a little too short. So that's all 4. We're going to hear from Paige Pierce coming out of our break. So don't go too far. We'll be back in a minute.
Hello everybody, my name is AJ Risley and I'm joined here by 5-time world champion Paige Pierce. Paige, how you doing?
I'm all right. It's a pretty tough round out there in the wind. It was really heavy wind, so lots of bogeys came. But yeah, overall I guess it went all right.
Good, yeah. Like you said, a lot of wind. We didn't see that much wind on Brewster Ridge yesterday, but today you guys played Fox Run Meadows. Different game plan. Obviously, it's a different course, but did you have like a different mindset going into it? Much different than Brewster Ridge?
Yeah, I wasn't hitting my lines yesterday in the woods. It's tight, and so if you miss your line, the disc doesn't continue to fly. So out here at Fox, even if you miss your line, you still get the forward progress. So I was trying not to think too much about that and just, play my tee shots better today.
Gotcha. So, as you can see, the sun is shining. It's not even high noon yet. Any fun plans for the rest of the day? We're in Vermont. We're at Smuggler's Notch.
Yesterday I went to hike to Sterling Pond, so I'll probably take today off and rest the legs a little bit.
Gotcha. Okay, well, if I don't see you the rest of the day, I'll see you at Fall Fest.
Oh yeah, Fall Fest.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Back to you guys.
Fall Fest for sure.
Picture in picture, right? We get to see the play and hear from our 5-time world champ. So, Paige didn't play well, but you could hear even her mentality. This is something that I think is interesting. Her saying, I still get the forward progress. So in the wood, because she's a big thrower, if she hits her lines in the wood, she's going to, kill it. But tough day for her. Officially, before we were talking that her scores hadn't come in, she finished in those last 6 holes 3 over par, taking a double bogey and a bogey. So she's at 9 over par for the tournament at this point. 6th place solo, but way back of Sarah Hokom. So yeah, still a long way to go there, I guess.
She was in the talks. I mean, she was playing great from the scores that we saw on the leaderboard. She was right up there. But now that confirms that she's in 6th place. But we do see Haley King's name creeping in.
Mm-hmm.
She's in 3rd place. She might be breaking through in this lead card.
Now, interestingly
1
enough,
hole to go.
Yeah, she's able to break in by taking 4 bogeys in the last 8 holes. She's went up the board by taking 4 bogeys in the last 8. But just single bogeys.
I mean, and that'll tell you how difficult this course is.
Exactly.
That's pretty insane.
Right. So now this is Sarah Hokom. She's lying 2. So this is her 3rd shot. Oh, and had it on a nice line. It's not enough up and in there for Sarah, but she got caught up early and she's going to take another bogey. So Sarah's kind of bringing people back in to the tournament just a little bit. Obviously, she still has a huge lead, but just got to just take a breath and move on. Also, the other thing you hear from Paige Pierce, how heavy the wind was. Ooh, nice putt there by Rebecca. There we go.
What a huge straddle out to the right. Full extension. That's nice. In a round like this, where I feel like it's just kind of been dragging on, a lot of errors, some weird shots, shots that players aren't expecting themselves to throw. You need putts like that. You need that little energy boost, especially coming into the home stretch.
Yeah, we are in the home stretch. We're on the 13th hole. We're going to play, just these last 5 now. And, now that's officially in the books, hole 13. Val, let's take a look at 14, the uphill 14th hole.
And this one's fun. Hole 14, par 3, 305 feet. It is uphill, but it doesn't really it doesn't feel like that when you're standing on the tee, but it takes a crazy amount of power to reach the basket. It said 300 feet. That's reachable by 90% of the FPO division, but this hole is incredibly hard to park the basket. Players are just hoping to get up to the base of the hill, maybe give themselves a long putt, but I'm thinking we're going to be seeing a lot of pars on this hole.
Yeah, it's tough to get in because that wall of trees. If you find the right line, you can skip on up there. A lot of times what we see as players come into this green, if they hit a tree, it rolls. And it's so severely sloped, it just rolls. There's nothing to stop it, and the OB comes into play. So they have a decent wind here. It's going to be a right to left wind, so help pushing it up to the basket.
And we do see that out of bounds line on the right-hand side the entire way. So that comes into play. So they're going to want to make sure that they're flight is ending up on the left-hand side. Another tricky shot for Sarah Hokom in that sidearm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the scores, and I'm just thinking about where this could all go. Kristin Tattar has hung in there, and she's doing okay. You know, I think coming off a big win last week, I think there's still confidence for her. And having Paige Pierce and Katrina Allen so far back, we have, you know, our veteran Sarah Hokom in the lead. So it's I think this is some good stuff. Ooh, nice. Able to get it through, and she's going to have a birdie putt for possible back-to-back here for Rebecca. Chipping away. Ooh, a lot of angle on that for Kristin. She's up there as well. She's going to have a look for birdie. At 305 feet, I think the wind is also a nice help here. It's coming off the right, giving sort of a boost to the players up the hill. Jessica just putting it too far to the left to start with. She's going to have some troubles in there.
And this will be interesting. She's got 2 discs in her hand. Again, just the layout of this hole does not play well for a sidearm shot. Let's see if she really hanging on the left-hand side and scoot it in. Really using the full flight of that disc. She is up near the green. Let's see if these players can prove me wrong with some birdies. We'll catch up in just a minute.
Spectacular views like these and championship level play like this can mean only one thing. It's time for Fall Fest at Smuggler's Notch Resort. 2 days of disc golf, craft beer, mountain biking, and more. Featuring live music from Zach Nugent and Blues for Breakfast. Also the 2019 Discraft Green Mountain Championship, the biggest disc golf event in New England. Special group rates on lodging are available. Call today and stay while you play.
Today, we'll be talking about the Nuke. The Nuke is a wide-rimmed, fast, maximum distance driver. When throwing on a wide-open course with the Nuke, I'm using it to unleash maximum backhand distance potential. Due to its slim profile and wide rim, the Nuke also fits really well in the hand when throwing sidearms. If I'm looking to throw down some boom sauce, I'm going with the Nuke. You can pick one up at discraft.com or your local disc golf retailer.
We're back live with our tournament leader, Sarah Hokom. You can see she's got some trees to contend with here. This is really what Brewster looks like almost the entire way through. And I love the finish of this Fox Run course because it brings in some of these technical, these holes. We have the next 2 holes in the woods. So a little bit of both here. Body language. I love it.
Always. And choosing the path of least resistance. You know, we were so perfectly lined up with that straight ahead shot, but Sarah's able to use the opening on the left-hand side. Just all you got to do is just get it under the basket. No need to go for the gold on that putt. Again, a few trees in the way here for Jessica Weese as well.
And Jessica hitting a tree. She's going to have about a 15-footer for her par. And now we'll have Tattar and Cox move in here to look at their birdie putts. Now, they're not distance-wise, they're not that long. They're both makeable. And in fact, Jessica is still out at this point. You can see bottom of your screen, that's Rebecca. Top of your screen, just below Jessica, is Tattar. There you go.
Nice putt. I think that's the most solid putt we've seen out of Jessica in quite some time. That deserves a Zuka replay.
Yeah, roll that replay around the tree, through another tree, and into the basket, just creeping up and over. I mean, but you're right. Even though it didn't hit the basket solid, it was a good effort. We've seen some bad efforts by Jessica today, unfortunately, and that was a good effort to save her par. This is a birdie look for Rebecca. See that wind off of her right. Her hair always gives us a look of where it's coming from.
I know.
I love it.
Best hair on tour, I think.
Sit down. All right, so that's sit and safe. Now, Tattar's going to have a very similar look to Jessica. Now we have a great view. Just Tattar to go to even par for today's round. And the good putting continues for Kristin Tattar. That's a birdie. That's a really good birdie for Kristin. She's now even par, so she's had an even amount of bogeys as birdies. And even though we've seen a little bit of up and down play from Kristin, that putter has kept her in it at this point, and she's now solidly in second place.
And there's Sarah tapping in for her par in that steady par golf, back on track.
And now Rebecca's tapped in. And so we'll go ahead and take a look at now the 15th hole.
Hole 15, it's one of the newest holes on this Fox Run course, par 3, 315 feet. As we were mentioning, a little bit of woods, a little bit open. This one is pure woods the entire way. It's all about that technical shot, choosing the right disc. And this, I think this is set up for that nice backhand anhyzer. It's really not a tight enough shot for the sidearm to be the preferred route. I think more of an anhyzer floaty shot is the best bet here. But I mean, there's a lot of color on this course map, but there needs to be way more trees.
Yeah. Aren't the maps so Vermont? I mean, it's wonderful. I love it.
It really covers the spectrum of seasons.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
we don't have the snow, but yeah,
Sure.
definitely bright green, and you get that little pops of color on the trees. But
Yep.
there should be about 1,000 more little dots added to that T sign.
Players quickly up to the tee. It's all clear in front of them. Kristin leaving that one just a little straight, so she's going to be off on that left side, not enough turn.
Cured it almost too good.
Yeah, she had a lot of heat on it too.
Yeah.
So this hole 15 came from the fact that the state of Vermont did not allow the tournament staff and Smuggler's Notch to have the hole over the water. There used to be a hole over the water. It used to be hole 12. They removed that hole. We've now added the 15th hole. And then also new tee pad on 16 made that hole incredibly more difficult as well. And so these two holes back to back are a really nice challenge for our players.
and it really rounds out this course.
It does.
There's just so much technicality. I think a lot of the talk about this course is the wide open shots, but it has a little bit of everything. And so you can't really just get comfortable in a one set of throw or one style of throwing. It really keeps you guessing.
Absolutely.
But hey, there's not out of bounds on this one. What a relief.
Yeah, you'd be,
Yeah,
you'd be tough to find some OB on this one, but ooh, Sarah takes a nice kick. That's a fortunate kick, actually. So we'll take a quick break and catch up with you here in just a minute. We are back with Sarah Hokom, tournament leader. As we've gotten accustomed to say now for the last 8 or 10 holes now, she's been in the lead and she's left herself quite a ways back. She took a fortunate kick actually to stay here in the fairway. Now that scrambling becomes so important. And that's going to be a drop-in par for our leader, Sarah Hokom. Beautiful shot. You can see a little bit of preview tomorrow. This is what we're going to see mostly tomorrow in the woods for our players. I do love Brewster. When you play Brewster's Ridge and you start feeling it, it's a lot of fun to play. Those woods can be brutal, but if you have that line and you're feeling it, it's green lights all over the place. It's a lot of fun. It's a beautiful course.
It's so much fun to pure those long fairways when you hit the line and you're sailing 300 feet and your disc just weaving through the woods. That's such a cool sight to see. You don't want to be on the other hand of that.
Not at all.
Let's not even talk about it.
Well, I mean, in a way, you end up with where Rebecca is now, and this is a lot of what it's all about, and she's able to chip up and through there as well. So she's going to have her opportunity to save par. Boy, you can really see how windy it is up above the trees with all these shadows coming through. Just a reminder to everybody at home, if you're just joining us, we're here in the second round of Discraft's Green Mountain Championship presented by Grip Equipment. This is a live coverage of our lead card for our women's. This is the second round of this tournament, of a 4-round tournament. We're just on the 15th hole. You've been with us all morning long. Thank you so much. We're excited to bring this live coverage to you of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. And a little roll back into the middle. She's going to have a look.
Yeah, that was nice. That was firing out of her hand. So I think that tree was in a good spot to slow her down. Going to have a little pitch and putt.
And throughout this round, would you have thought that Kristin Tattar for the round would have only been 1 stroke behind Sarah? I mean, it hasn't seemed that way.
It hasn't.
But those 4 or 5 huge putts from Kristin has really been the difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, those were her highlight moments. She did have, I mean, she had 2 bogeys to speak of, but the third was a double bogey on hole 7. She got a 7 on 7, and that was her biggest fault of the round. But otherwise, I was mentioning it earlier, she just looks so confident. She steps up on the tee pad, doesn't take a lot of time, lines up her shot, and goes. Same thing with her putts. She just looks so confident when she steps up to them, knowing what exactly she's got to do, and her just form looks very pure.
Right.
She's really dialed it in with all these tournaments that she's been playing here in the United States, all the practice rounds that she's put in, and it's absolutely paying off right now in the peak of the season.
You're right, it is. This is the most important part of the season, from the Worlds to the Women's Nationals is really the most important part. And then after the Women's Nationals, you have the 2 championships. You got the end of the National Tour, the end of the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So this is the most important part of the season. And Kristin's been playing well. We've seen her name quite a bit. She picked up a championship last weekend in Canada. So it must be said that she's probably playing the best at this point, coming in with a high finish at the MVP, a win last weekend. So we'll see what she has in store for the rest of the tournament for sure. And you can tell really that in a way, Kristin still has that kind of, for lack of a better term, puppy-like excitement around preparing and playing. And so that's really cool to see as well. You can see she's just still super into it. And there's an unfortunate missed putt for Rebecca Cox.
One of her strengths, like we talked about, is her putting. And today it hasn't been able to save her.
Kind of a gift and a curse. I mean, when Rebecca's putting well, she makes a lot. But when she's not, she misses a lot. So it's got to clean that up ultimately.
You know, it's a funny thing to say. I mean, when you're a really strong putter, sometimes it means you're not great at upshots. But then when you get better at upshots, then your putting starts to lack because you're not putting as often.
That's very well put.
The game of golf is just so funny in that regard. I mean, or you're really great at upshots because your driving is just all over the place. Yeah.
Right.
So
your
sometimes
stats,
it lacks in one way, but it's really great in others.
Your stats can certainly be skewed one way or another depending on how the other parts of your game are doing. You know, total feet of putts could be because you left yourself with a lot of 40-footers, you know. So
when you're not capitalizing on any one of those good points, you're in trouble.
Yeah, so let's take a look at hole 16, Val.
Hole 16, here's a look at the new tee pad placement. Par 4, 600 feet. Starts off very technical off the tee pad. This looks like Brewster's to me. Starts off with a long, straight tunnel shot, about 250 feet to punch yourself out. There's an OB line, a little bit of a swampy area you have to pass over. Once you get out to the open, it's nice and clean and open, but again, there's still the out of bounds that's surrounding the entire pin and that island green. So things can get technical if you find yourself in the way of the out of bounds.
Right. Yeah, when you look at that fairway with our flyby presented by Gatekeeper Media, it's like, wow, you know, what a daunting look. And it truly is. You know, you got to get down there.
Then land in the middle.
Yep. Then you got to get out into the open. So it is a super tough hole and typically plays as one of the most difficult. And today it's playing 0.94 over par. It's the third most difficult hole on our course.
And I think it has everything to do with that first half. Again, the T sign, the sign that we're seeing of the overview of the hole looks pretty simple, but that flyby, and again, thanks to Gatekeeper for allowing us to see what the disc sees. These players just want that nice, in the middle, safe drive.
Kristin hoping for a good kick, not going to get it. She's going to stay up on that left side. Even if you get caught up, I mean, there's still the chance to save your par. You can chip out, and then you're going to have to make a great shot from there. So the woods here, not all that punishing because there's not a big old B line here in the woods. You're not going to pick up a OB until you get out into the open. So it's kind of, again, it's just about putting yourself in the proper landing zone so you have a nice look. You see Sarah playing way wide, using all of that fairway and able to land it in the middle, in the short stuff, if you will. She'll have a look out of the gap from that point. And immediately Rebecca, head down. She knows she's going to go up into the stuff on the left side. That's just going to be a chip out from there. I don't see any way around that.
Jessica going for the sidearm here.
Yeah, we just saw Hokom throw that wide sidearm. Looks like there's a lot of space over there. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to have AJ Risley and Haley King. So be back in just a minute.
I can throw this disc around the world in one shot.
Never play disc golf too far into the jungle. There may be cheetahs.
Someone on your card can't recall if they threw a 6 or a 7. It was probably an 8.
See? Stay getting birdies, my friends.
What do you think, flatness and stiffness on this?
Somewhat flat, neutral stiffness. This is a good disc right here.
Purple one. Got it. 2 more.
Danny, this is a sick one.
Dude, I gotta get through all these today.
Cheers to a good day, gentlemen.
Cheers. Ooh.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's a hard day.
It's great.
Hello, everybody. My name's AJ Risley, and I'm joined here by Haley King. Haley, you're from Wisconsin, and you're sponsored by Discraft. And these are things that people know about you already. Can you tell us something that people don't know?
I have a twin sister. She's pretty cool. She used to disc golf with me. Yeah.
Sweet. So you had a pretty good round today. What'd you shoot?
I think I finished with a +2, so 65.
Not bad, not bad. Now, you only had one OB throw on the whole round, according to the UDisc Live stats. It was hole 10, threw your drive out of bounds. Can you go through the rest of the hole for me?
I don't know what hole 10 is right now.
Hole 10, par 3, across the little valley in the corner near the Bootleggers Basin. It said you had 110-foot throw-in. She had a big throw-in. Okay. It was pretty cool. Okay, so you played Fox Run Meadows today. Tomorrow you're going back over to Brewster Ridge. Can you tell me one thing that worked out there that you're going to try to continue and build upon, and then one thing that you'd like to improve?
I was throwing my stalkers really well at Brewster. I hope I can just keep doing that. I'm feeling really comfortable with that. Yeah, I think my game plan is going to be the same. Just go for pars on every hole, take birdies when I can, not be too aggressive. It seems to be working out well.
Great. Haley, Thank you.
Thank you.
See you at Fall Fest. Back to you guys.
Oh, thanks, AJ and Haley. Yeah, you can see, Haley. I don't know what hole 10 is. It was the one you had 110-foot throw in. Oh, yeah. Funny,
I was
interesting.
about to say, why is he digging in on the hole
Right.
she went out of bounds?
Yeah, but she had a big par save.
Maybe she put it out of her mind, but no, you
No.
wouldn't want to put a huge throw-in out of your mind.
Right,
But
exactly. No, she had a big save there on hole 10. So at any rate, that's Haley King. We are going to see her tomorrow in the round, most likely. She's in it for Cox and Weese would have to get an ace or something. So we're going to see Haley tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see Haley. We haven't really seen her on the live coverage that much, if at all. So it'll be nice to see her play and see if she can execute that game plan that she was just talking about.
yeah, exactly. We missed Haley on the live coverage when it was during the Ledgestone. So we've been playing a lot of the Disc Golf Pro Tour events on the brewery dedicated Disc Golf TV, and we saw Haley competing there. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, she was on the lead card at Worlds when it came here to Smuggler's Notch. So she's got a good game plan. She talked about that with AJ. Playing solid, steady, shoot for par, and let the birdies happen when they happen. So I think she's got her mindset right, especially in regard to Brewster. Of course, it's so technical, so sticking to a game plan is key. But we saw during that interview a couple of nice up shots, nice outs out of the trouble there. But see, the best shot lined up here is Sarah Hokom.
One thing I took away from that interview, she's got a pretty cool twin sister. So anyways, big shout out to Haley's twin sister out there if she's watching. And we do see Sarah Hokom here lining up. She walked all the way out into the open to check the breeze. Should be a head wind a little bit off of the right. You kind of see the wind coming through the gap right ahead of her. So she's just trying to pick the line that she needs to have as she comes out of these woods. But you can see she's staying aggressive, I think, looking to go towards that pin and maybe pick up another birdie. She's got it turned over immediately. We'll see where that ends up on the edge. Not a great shot there by Sarah. Hopefully she has a stance, and it's still going to be a fairly large layup from that point.
And that was extremely one of those shots where risk, reward. Where she threw her shot out of bounds is a tightened part, a little bottleneck of the fairway. And as we saw in the course map, OB just surrounding the entire basket. But Sarah feeling like she needs to put a little bit more oomph on it, but getting herself into trouble. We'll see how it finishes out.
So that's Rebecca's third shot. Takes a nice little roll out. So she's going to have a clean stance. She'll have a look at par on this par 4, number 16. And we'll take a quick look at our top 10 leaderboard. And big thanks to DGA for their sponsorship. And there we go, Val. There's the top 10 leaderboard, just one player under par. And then all the way down tied ninth, 17 over par with Lisa and Ellen. So
it's amazing to be under par. We've seen a lot of scores throughout the season under par. That's just continuing to elevate the game. I mean, to see one player right now holding on to that, it's like, you got to root for that. I mean, that's incredible play from Sarah Hokom today and yesterday's round.
Look at this. What control. Beautiful shot there by Kristin, giving herself a par opportunity. That was just her where she was landed after chipping out. She was up in the woods as well. But yeah, I mean, I just really look at, at this point, and we see this in the women's division a lot, that it's hard to pick, who's going to win it at this point because we still see a lot of movement. But you got to say there's probably only 6, 8 people that can maybe win this tournament at this point, and maybe not even that. There might only be 6 down to Pierce. So we'll see how that all goes. Paige Pierce is going to stay aggressive even in those woods tomorrow.
And with this layout this weekend, so they start on Brewster Ridge for the first round, and then the third round, Fox Run today here in our second round, but we finish here on Fox Run. So that can make all the difference too.
Mm-hmm.
You see Paige, of course, having a really nice round today, bumping herself up that scoreboard, up that leaderboard, because it is in her favor.
Mm-hmm.
A couple years back, the last time that I played this tournament, we finished on Brewster Ridge. Ended up, Paige Pierce won from the second card. A course like that, you can really see players just leaps and bounds and climbing up the leaderboard. But it'll be interesting to see. I think tomorrow's round is extremely important to put out a good score, because Fox Run is just all about maintaining, getting those pars.
Yeah.
You can't really attack it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even, with the more difficult wind conditions today, we're still not seeing anybody, very far under par. So then it's just about maintaining. You're right. And then Brewster you can attack and be aggressive. So see if Paige Pierce is able to do that tomorrow, or if any one of our other players. I think there's still a lot of opportunity there.
So Sarah, a little bit off the fairway.
Well, you can tell Sarah's just trying to figure out exactly to try to just really get that one nestled up, and she's left herself a little bit outside there. So that's going to be for par for Sarah.
This has got to be frustrating.
Oh, yeah.
She had the best drive of the group, and now all of a sudden, just error on the upshot.
Yeah, horrible
error on the second shot. And now leaving herself a very big putt.
It's true. It's very true. She's going to go from potentially birdie to potentially bogey here. We'll see if she's able to find out something there in the middle and finish with a par. This is going to be Rebecca Cox for par, as she was caught up early. And now you know why this is playing as the third most difficult hole, because you can get caught up early. You're chipping out. It's a big second shot, big third shot. That flag almost dead still. Ooh, and just another one off the front rim for Rebecca. Seen a few of those in the last few holes. And we'll see Hokom.
Sitting about 22 feet. As you said, flag is just dead still. A little slight elevation.
Oh, there you go. And that's the big putt that Sarah Hokom was looking for, able to save par. And we're going to roll that Zuka replay. And here it is, just sticking on that left side. Boy, what a nice catch.
Huge putt. Huge height on that one. That was so fun to see it drop into the basket. She really popped it up there. That's the power and height she needed to get it in the basket. Good save. Wow, but struggle bus toward the end, but caps it off with a good putt.
Oh, really needed that putt too, because this next hole for a sidearm player, super difficult. And that would have been tough to have a bogey going into a difficult hole for her throwing style. Now we see Rebecca able to tap that in. And speaking of hole 17, Val, we're gonna take a short break, or we're just gonna check in with Madison. We see her right there. Take it away, Madison.
We are out here. We just finished hole 16. This place is one of the hardest holes on the course at Worlds last year's, which was here also at Smuggler's Notch. Holes 15 and 16 were literally carved out of the woods just for the World Championships last year. So you'd think we wouldn't be able to feel the wind back in those deep fairways, but in fact we could. Weirdly, as we stepped out into the more wide open areas in the green of hole 16, the wind seems to have died. I think everyone's really happy about it. The next 3 holes are wide open, and they're some of the classic holes that we've seen out here year after year at Smuggler's Notch. Hokom seems really level-headed. She's smiling, she's laughing, she's staying strong, and we get to watch her finish this round, hopefully in the same manner. Back to the booth.
Big thanks to Madison, of course. As always, we noticed the wind as well, so it died down.
I know, it was crazy.
Yeah, it's like, man, I'll take that. Madison mentioned these last 2 holes are wide open, and now we see it. So we didn't see the whole preview, but Val, what hole 17? Kind of give us the breakdown here.
Hole 17, it's a par 3. 122 meters, 400 feet, slightly downhill. This one, you can't see the basket from the tee pad here, and the fairway just creates a curve, heads out to the right-hand side, works its way back to the left, and with that elevation declining, gravity is really pulling you far to the left. It's really tough to land your shot inbounds here. You have to play that perfect angle, hit the perfect line, and let the disc do the work.
Yeah, it's a big hyzer. It's just a big hyzer down and around that corner. And there's OB on the right and left. Really, the OB on the right comes more into play than anything. It looks like Jessica's got it on a beautiful line there. She's right in the middle. And he's right there in the middle of the green, looking at a birdie putt there for Jessica Weese. Nice shot. It looked as if Kristin Tattar went potentially OB off the tee, so could be a stroke loss there. This looks good too if it's got enough forward momentum. Oh, and it does. Nice shot there. We're going to take a short break. We'll catch up with you here in just a minute. Welcome back. If there's a more beautiful view in disc golf, I would love to see it because this is absolutely gorgeous. But as we talked about, Val, it's a tough hole for Hokom. She basically just had to lay it up.
And it's a good play. I mean, she knows the strength of her shots and she knows her weaknesses as well. And I think that's just as important. And so just laying up, giving herself a look at this par, it's such a great play. This is a hard birdie to get to. You said it's just a hyzer, but for the FPO division, you really have to carry the disc out there to get enough distance to actually get close enough to run the putt, especially when the wind picks up. We see as the players are stepping over, it's this side of the fairway, a shot a little bit too straight is ending up out of bounds.
Yeah, that's what happened to Kristin. The one thing that I'd like to say with Hokom's play is, what if she's in the heat of the battle come Sunday? She needs a birdie. she can't get it. You know, I think that's the one thing that I think is so tough. Obviously, if she got a big lead, hey, you got your game plan, you stick with it. But, you know, a backhand player is going to be able to be aggressive. Now, of course, a backhand player can go out of bounds, but this is a backhand shot.
Well, we'll find out.
Well, I mean,
she might have a game plan for that.
Well, maybe, but I'm just saying, you know, there's definitely, I think, the option, the potential that she is not going to have the opportunity to get a birdie if she needs a birdie. So we'll see. Just a thought. Now they also made this a lot more difficult by elevating this basket. It's on a downhill slope.
They elevated the elevated.
Right. Yeah, they put the slight box elevation with our Disc Golf Pro Tour pyramid elevation. Boy, and you could just see how nervous Weese was with that elevated basket, because you got to remember, and our camera angle's not showing it, it slopes away from the pin behind the basket. So you're high and the ground is going away. So a miss could just really be bad. We're going to see a birdie putt here from Rebecca Cox. Love this view.
And there's that solid putt that we've been missing out of Rebecca the last couple of holes. So that felt good for her to finish on. That's beautiful. And, you know, it is a safe play, but now look at where Sarah's putt is lining up. She's got headwind into the elevated basket.
Yeah.
A little break in the wind for a second. Picks back up.
Yeah, Sarah is putting well today. She's really only missed one putt. It was the one for par back on 12. So the putting is continuing to be solid for Hokom. We mentioned it a couple of times. It's the height. She's getting that arc. She's not hitting short. So nice save there by Sarah. Now Jessica, their uphill par putt. That wind is now gusting hard from her right. It's difficult for the turnover putt. And able to get it in there, giving it plenty of height.
And there we go. Kristin taps in her bogey on this hole, and we are headed on to hole 18. We've made it, Nate. High five. We're on the last hole. Par 4, 655 feet. And there's that view again. Beautiful downhill tee shot. We've got OB stakes on the right-hand side. We've got the OB driveway on the left-hand side. So again, keeping it in the middle of the fairway is good. This is your landing zone. And it's all about that second shot up to the basket. It's now perched just perfectly on this side hill. And great opportunity for selfies and pictures next to the basket. But again, a little bit of an elevation could make those putts just a little bit more tricky, make you think about it a little bit more. So I think the up shot here is the most important shot of the day. Of the hole. Maybe not of the day. But there's a look at the map. Again, OB all over the place. There's so much air out there on this fairway, especially on the tee shot. So picking your line, hitting that angle, and choosing the right disc is really important.
Yeah, it's true, because there is so much air. There's not a lot of references, like visual references to make. There's just the one big tree. You see it in the map there. Yeah, and what a great finishing hole. I mean, just that the spectators have the full view. can see the parking lot down there, the tournament central is down there. So it really is just such a nice finish to this round and to eventually the tournament. Last year we saw Paige Bierkus and Greg Barsby be crowned champions, world champions on this basket last year. And one of the things from the previous Green Mountain Championship is that the tournament staff, Jeff, has decided to sort of cut this fairway even more in half. In fact, back in 2017, this was a much wider landing zone. He's cut that down, made it just that much more difficult. I think for the best. It's a demanding tee shot.
And I loved where Rebecca's shot landed on that left-hand side. That's going to make that second shot a little bit easier.
It's too much height, and that wind's going to push that OB. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And she's going to be out of bounds there. The spotter will run up and mark where it went OB. Sarah had the big crosswind from her left and put a big sidearm up there. Again, it's, you know, Sarah's proven us wrong time and time again. She has such a nice sidearm, but tough to not have a backhand here where you can just play it up against that wind versus with the wind.
And that wind, as we saw in the last basket, is solidly blowing left to right. We see Jessica pulling out the sidearm.
That's a curious play for me. I don't get it because the wind is just not helping you. It's pushing you, and it's got to sit. Oh, nice. So she's barely kept that in bounds, and again, proving us wrong, as they always do. I think the difference between Hokom's and Jessica's was lower, had more of a penetrating flight, got down past that OB. And here's Kristin playing up against that wind. It's trying and just safe. We see the green board from our spotter. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back with you for the finish of this second round.
You know, the Mach 7's a really great disc golf basket, but you know, it also makes a really good step stool. You know, say you got something up high, you need to reach. Oh, gosh.
Back live in the fairway of a hole 18. Our leader, Sarah Hokom, just marking her lie as she did throw out of bounds off the tee. That'll be interesting to see how she plays it from here because, again, I'm guessing her game plan was to play this for par. And so now she's going to be pretty far back. This second shot does definitely call for a sidearm, so this is playing into her advantage. She's got to play around that big tree in the middle. But I see a bogey coming. We'll see. It's a long way still to the basket. So nice pitch down to the fairway. And big thanks to DGA as they're the course sponsor here. The DGA Mach 7 now shipping. Ooh, she's taking the inside line. What an aggressive play by Sarah, putting it at circle 2. So she's going to have an outside look to save her par, but either way, that was an aggressive line that I really like the play from her.
I like the play too. And, of course, we're sitting in the booth, so we're going to break down every single shot. And why would you choose this throw over this throw? And as I was lining up as if I was Sarah Hokom behind that shot and big and around that tree and bringing the parking lot into play, that's a huge shot. So I love that Sarah kind of cut off the corner there, attacking a little bit more. It is a little bit more aggressive line, bringing that out of bounds into play, but getting her a little bit closer to the basket. And here's a very nice angle for a backhand thrower. Rebecca's on the left-hand side of the fairway. Should have a pretty straight shot. Utilizing that turnover. Can it hang on?
Not at all. That's going to be OB for sure. And this is where a sidearm, just as I said on the previous hole for Hokom, not having a backhand, unable to birdie it. This is this very similar situation on 18. It's tough to get back there with a backhand. The angle is so difficult. We see Kristin now taking that sidearm, going up the gut. She's got it way too high. That's going to go. Oh, that's going to go just in bounds, I guess.
How about that?
Very, very fortunate for Kristin, who that's big because she can still gain a stroke on the tournament leader, Sarah Hokom, at this point.
Wow. And she's been living on the edge down this fairway. Drive, just scooting in bounds just barely. This one just plopping down just about a foot from the out of bounds line. She'll be looking to clean that up for the final round.
Yeah, now Weese in a really good position here. See if she can pick that angle and pick that line. Get down. Oh my goodness. And look at that. The wind is blowing perfectly with the angle of her disc. Takes her long. Gave it a run for the eagle. She's going to be out of bounds long there. She'll have an uphill birdie or a par putt from that point. Jeez.
Man.
A little bit of everything here.
Yeah. It does get a little bit more technical near this basket, but these ladies are playing it very aggressive. They're trying to get those up shots close. They're trying to give themselves an easy putt. But with that comes the risk, and we've got 2 shots already out of bounds. That Kristin still has a little bit of an upshot to join the group near and around the green, but she'll be sitting pretty safe. And here's the thing, she's from this distance here. She needs to get this close. Leaving it short is going to put that hill into her mind, and it's going to make it really tricky to be aggressive on the putt.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Just the sheer openness of this 18th is, you cannot really capture that on film. It's big. It's open. The wind's whipping around now. The wind has definitely rejoined us here. And there's that jump putt, leaving that a little bit short. She's going to have a tailwind, as you mentioned earlier on the pro side. She's going to have a tailwind putt versus a headwind putt. Now we'll see Kristin. She's taking her meter.
And that was some nice spin, as we talked about earlier. Again, just a little short, but better than sailing down the hill.
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to avoid, is going down that hill, but you leave yourself with a putt looking at that hill. So we'll see. This should just be a chip, I would say, for Sarah Hokom. Put it close, tap in, walk away with your even par round, have it, what I can tell, or what will be a 5-stroke lead. Hokom's lining this up like she's going to go for it. Nah, just a chip. That was just a chip. There you go. That's going to be Sarah. Tap in for bogey. She's going to finish out even par for the round, 2 under for the tournament. Still an impressive day for sure from her.
And she did have, I would just say, it's just steady golf, nothing out of the ordinary. Toward the end, I mean, I think that's when she started to rack up a little bit, a few more errors.
Yeah.
You know, everything else was just about playing in the middle, playing nice and safe, you know, choosing the safer routes, laying up when she needed to. But then toward the end, when things tightened up and the fairways get a little bit tighter, the errors started to pile up. Let's hope this isn't the case for her as we get into the final round. We're finishing here at Fox Run Meadows on Sunday. And so with these last, you know, starting on hole 12 is where she had issues. So as long as she can keep it together and continue to give herself this big lead, it shouldn't be a problem, but I'm sure she's going to look to clean it up come Sunday.
Yeah, and it just kind of goes, and the beautiful putt there by Rebecca. Nice finish for her. It's going to be a bogey, but solid putt. And Rebecca played okay. It looks as if Rebecca is going to hang on to be in our featured card tomorrow as well. And Kristin will definitely be there as she's in solo second place at 3 over par. And there's the tap in for Jessica Weese, who had, I would call it a difficult day for Jessica, not her best day by any means. And there's our tournament leader tapping it in also. And there you see her round 2 under par for the tournament, even par for the day. 3 birdies, 3 bogeys.
Yeah, and that's the hot round of the day, even par.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you can see, just comparing it to yesterday's round, just playing a little bit more difficult. Of course, not as technical as Brewster, but Sarah and Rebecca, were tied going into today's round at 2 under. So they're both just very challenging courses, and Sarah just expanding on that lead now, just maintaining that 2 under. Kristin Tattar, she had a solid round. She had great putts, nice birdies, but then also the bogeys. So it kind of evened out, but her game just looks really well put together. So it's great to see her name in second place, and watching today's round, there's no doubt why. And we see Haley King's name up there. It'll be fun to see how she attacks tomorrow's round. But going back with our group, Rebecca, just too many errors. A lot of bogeys on that scorecard, a lot of orange. Just couldn't get it in the fairway, had a lot of out of bounds. Jessica just couldn't get it going today.
Yeah, sort of seems sluggish a little bit. I mean, looking at Rebecca's scorecard, I can see it over there. From hole 6 on, she just had 3 pars. So picked up a bunch of birdies in there, but just had double bogeys and bogeys. And that's why there's just this big separation. I mean, there's 9 strokes to Rebecca, who's in 4th. So tomorrow we're going to see the leader and the person in 4th place 9 strokes apart to start the day.
Wow.
Again, there's still a whole lot to go here. And with Brewster tomorrow,
That's just a couple holes on Brewster.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. And then it's only a couple holes on Fox too. So there's no doubt that Sarah Hokom's going to have to continue to play well if she wants to win this tournament. There's no doubt about that. Kristin Tattar, had she not putted well today, I don't even think she would be in the conversation, but she did. She was 1 OB away on 17 from shooting an even par to stay even with Hokom. So, you know, I mean, it seems as if, as I was saying, Kristin's playing good. She won last weekend by finishing with 1,013 rounds. You know, man, I'm still looking forward to see how tomorrow's going to play out, and as well as Sunday. Hokom's just finishing up her scorecard, everybody at home. We are going to hear from her before we go ahead and close out the show. So we're just going to let that all happen, and then we'll go ahead and go check an interview with Sarah here in just a little bit. But yeah, I mean, you just look at the board. It's elongated out, 19 strokes difference between 9th place and 1st.
And you can see nobody really had a great round today. The scores aren't great. It's a sluggish kind of day, I think, for the entire field.
Mhm.
Sarah Hokom's probably the only one feeling pretty solid about her game at this point. So back in the woods tomorrow could make all the difference as the scores keep coming together and shuffling up. I think that, that'll be a lot more exciting, kind of back and forth. Of course, we get the woods and yeah, as you mentioned, anything can happen in the woods.
Right. Yeah.
But we see, Paige Pierce, she's sitting there. She moved up 4 places, so had her redemption round today. She's sitting in 6th place. Still, there's that big cushion between Sarah Hokom and the rest and everybody else. So moving day.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's going to be moving day.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to take something special from, in my mind, a Katrina Allen. I mean, a 5-6 under round and, everybody else playing bad is what it's going to take, for her to even have a chance to then play another amazing round. Paige Pierce, the same.
Mm-hmm.
5-6 down tomorrow could definitely bring her into the fold and bring her into our featured card on Sunday. But yeah, other than that, it's tough. It's just tough because it is so elongated out. We've seen some events on the women's side where the top 10 boards only 4 or 5 strokes different.
Yeah.
And so that kind of says a whole lot there too about maybe just the way the conditions are, just the way that things are kind of going right now as we go through this event, and just how difficult the courses are too.
Yeah, and just the way the course lays out. I think something that's a little bit more tight and technical, you can really see those scores just stacking up. So we will see changes up like that. I'm sure tomorrow we did see Ellen Widboom.
Mhm.
She had a great round today, popping herself up. I think it was about 5 places today to bump up on that leaderboard. Lisa Fakis bumped up 7 places. So her and Ellen are sitting and tied for 9th. So they had some good rounds today leading into tomorrow. 2 full rounds still left of this tournament. We're halfway done. I mean, it's almost like a restart for some of the players.
Well, yeah, you might as well. I mean, at this point, you might as well just forget about what's happened. Hopefully your game plan from from practice is going to work out. But I mean, it's, you still got a long way to go. I mean, there's still 36 holes to play. It's a lot different. It's a lot different mentality when you have just a 3-round tournament versus a 4-round tournament. So, I mean, at this point, yeah, you might as well just forget about it, move on, and just go and play the rest of the tournament, and whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Right. We do know we have Fall Fest tonight, so those players are getting ready for that. That's a nice
right, yeah.
relief and a party
Friday
for tonight.
night. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for everybody at home, we've heard AJ mention it a few times, and Fall Fest is the partnering event that happens at Smuggler's Notch. Music, beer, food, just a whole bunch of good time. Let's head out. Let's hear from Sarah Hokom.
It was kind of a rough morning out there. How did you dial in your focus right off the bat?
I was just about deep breathing and just trying to relax and kind of compartmentalize everything into something I could manage. My card mates were really supportive, and I felt relatively comfortable despite the circumstances.
Yeah, I know a lot of smiles, a lot of hugs out there. It was really awesome to watch and be a part of. Also, you told me that Fox Run is kind of a tough course for a right-handed sidearm dominant player. There's a lot of trouble. How did you stay out of that trouble?
I was trying to play the easiest possible shot, and on the holes where it's really easy to go out of bounds even multiple times, I was really just trying to play for the par and throw the easiest absolute shot I could. Like for 17, for instance, I know I can throw a turnover, I know I can throw a roller that'll get me maybe a circle 2 look, but I felt like it wasn't worth going for that when I can just throw 2 really simple highs, chop hyzers up the fairway, and thankfully I made that putt after leaving it a little wide. Just trying to play the fairway, and even if I do go out of bounds, I'm trying to play the farthest distance up, not go out of bounds early, so I'm getting all the distance even if I lose a stroke on the OB.
Well, it looks like you stuck to your game plan. You played smart. You kept it in the fairways. You kept the front 9 bogey free, which is very impressive, even in the crazy wind. It was fun to watch, and congratulations, you're sitting in the lead by 5.
Oh, wow. Surprise. Cool. I think it helped to play in Hurricane Dorian last week.
I heard you saying that on the tee pad, and I let them know at Nantucket we played in hurricane conditions last week, so it was awesome to see her looking very comfortable in the wind.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in.
So there we are. We just heard from Sarah Hokom. I think the big thing is she reiterated a lot of what we talked about.
Yeah, I would agree. And we can't forget the stress that was put on her at the beginning of the round with that medical emergency. And she was able to play really solid through it. So kind of just hunkering down and sticking to the game plan. We can question what a player's doing here or there, but in the end, she is such an experienced veteran player and knows what she can do and what she can't. And so it's great to see a player like that being confident in that game plan.
Yeah, for sure. And nice to hear that everybody in the card was very sort of warm about the whole situation. And Robin, if you're out there watching, man, on your phone or something, hopefully you're doing well. Just chill out. There's nothing more important than your health. Sarah's got it covered on the course, and we got it covered here in the booth. And so we're gonna end the show here. It was that was a good day. Tough win for the ladies, but ultimately Sarah handled it just fine. We got the men coming up here, not too long. We're just about an hour, 20 minutes away from seeing our lead men get onto the course, and we'll be right back here in the booth to cover it. So go have some lunch, do some putting in the backyard or something, and we'll catch you right back here at 11:30 Pacific. It'll be 2:30 on the East Coast. So, and everybody, thanks for joining us here for second round coverage of Discraft's Green Mountain Championship presented by Grip Equipment. We'll see you in a little bit.
Thanks.